All right, you guys know how the program is ran. Trying to get up my other stream, so give me a minute as folks began filtering in, and you're currently in the reruns because nobody's in here yet, but that's going to change. We're going to be talking about does America really need NATO? It's obvious where that's coming from, so that's what we're going to be talking about. Attic Von Attic, appreciate the audio check. Thank you there, sir, with the brief yes. I'm assuming, well, if you said yes, you're either talking about the audio or you were talking about whether we need NATO. You need sleep. I wasn't going to go live tonight. I was going to do the same thing you're talking about, which is going to sleep. But I'm like, let me get out here and talk to the people um, because of what went on. Did I hear what Canada said? Canada is pushing back. In fact, I may need to bring up a Canadian clip because yeah, Canada did push back. They talking big shit. I mean, listen, Trump has said a lot of really bad things about Canada. So um, shout out to the Prime Minister of Canada for responding. It's like, you know, the problem is everybody is just letting Trump talk shit about him. So I can't hate on it. I can't hate on anybody that finally stands up and speaks out for their country. Take my money, please, sis. Handsome conservative. Thank you. Appreciate the support, handsome conservative. Let me get my other piece up here.
Not the first thing people would realize, but that relationship, which is deepening for security reasons, because we're like-minded, those are the types of partnerships that I think we'll see more of.
And you got a round of applause when you said something strong about standing on principle on Greenland. Do you think we can find an off-ramp on that? I mean, I'm sure you'll speak of it, but put it this way, if there isn't an off-ramp, where does this go?
I strongly believe that there's a better outcome that come from the discussions that have been catalyzed in an unusual way, admittedly, but and we absolutely stand by the principles that I referenced. That solution starts with security, and it's security, yes, of Greenland, but more broadly of the Arctic. Canada is foursquare contributing to that. We're at the start of a major ramp up above and beyond, so we'll be a major contributor to that. NATO has
to. Okay, what up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Shout out to the Canadians. Shout out to the Canadians for standing their ground. I think everybody realizes that if it really comes down to it, most of these nations do not really have a military chance in hell of defending themselves against the United States. But shout out to them for not just standing down and letting America just run all over them. And this is what I asked on one of my shorts I did earlier today, which is if America attacks Greenland, or not attacks Greenland, but Trump has already threatened Greenland every way till sundown. And the question that was asked is, if those NATO member nations, which Denmark had military forces on that what do you want to call it? Denmark had military forces in Greenland. So did a few other nations. And the question is, if America tried to actually attack Greenland by force, and those nations, which are much weaker than American forces, got into a fight with the U.S., knowing they're going to lose, by the way, there's absolutely going to lose, would it be wrong as an American to root for those nations as opposed to your own country? That's what I asked. Would it be wrong to root for America? I mean, better yet, root for those European nations as opposed to your own country. I'd like to know from you guys, what do you think? The reason I'm saying that is, does your patriotism require you root for America, even if you feel confident that what America is doing is wrong? And when I say wrong, I mean up to and including killing people that don't deserve or need to be killed. Do you still, does your patriotism still require you root for the American military when you know they're slaughtering innocent people? And I'm asking because that's the conundrum we might have faced if America decided to attack Greenland and the European Union fought back. You would likely have some American citizens rooting for the European Union as opposed to their own country. Is that unpatriotic to do that? To do that? That's what I want to ask you guys. By the way, the comments yes or no is yes or no? Do you think that that would be unpatriotic to root for another country if you felt that America was killing and slaughtering that countrymen unnecessarily? I'm just curious. Look at Trumpers hate me, says rough Texan cowboy. Why do they hate you? I have been blocked by 68 Trumpers since the first of this year. Wow, 68? How do you even keep track? I assume because of the nature of what I run here, I get blocked by some liberals and certainly by some Trump supporters, but I could care less. I mean, we're about zero censorship. I'd much rather anyone that does not favor me or does not like me give me the criticism to my face. I'm not going to block, ban, or censor you. So there's no need to block, ban, or censor me. But I don't, like I said, I don't even keep track of who's blocking me. I know it's happening, but I could care less about that. 68 though, that's a lot. 68 of them. Anyhow, we're going to get into the actual program. And as you see on the screen, we're asking, is NATO still relevant? And I have my thoughts on NATO, whether or not it is still a relevant group of nations. But you obviously have your thoughts as well. And that's what we are here for, is to hear what you folks think, whether or not NATO is still relevant. And does America need to coexist with NATO, or do we benefit at all by being part of NATO? It's a strong question to ask because, like I said, I know there's a hell of a lot of Americans that are on both sides of this issue. Here is President Trump from earlier, which I found to be kind of interesting. This is actually a clip from Trump. He had strong opinions on NATO himself.
I've done more for NATO than anybody, and I see all this stuff, but NATO has to treat us fairly too. The big fear I have with NATO is we spend tremendous amounts of money with NATO, and I know we'll come to their rescue, but I just really do question whether or not they'll come to ours. You know, I'm just asking. Just saying, right? You remember that?
Now, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, that is not only concerning to have the president suggest that we do a lot for NATO and NATO does nothing for us. It's historically inaccurate, by the way. It is historically inaccurate. And to say that in front of a group of countries that absolutely not only came to America's aid, but literally lost their countrymen doing so. Not only is this historically wrong, it's embarrassing, at least if you ask me. I want you to hear a clip. Now, this came by way of CNN, and I know how some of my viewers feel about CNN. I get it, but I think this is worthy of hearing because it kind of coincides. The problem is I can't see the timer on the thing, but it coincides with what we're discussing here. This is in regards to President Trump's comment that he's not so sure that, okay, he's certain that we have done a lot for NATO, but he is not so sure that if we needed NATO, they would be there for us.
Also questions NATO and the future of NATO.
We give so much and we get so little in return. And I've been a critic of NATO for many years. And yet I've done more to help NATO than any other president by far. The problem with NATO is that We'll be there for them 100%. But I'm not sure that they'd be there for us.
So again, fact, the only time in history that NATO's Article 5, which is an attack on one, is an attack on all. The only time Article 5 has been invoked was NATO being there for the United States after 9/11. The president...
Now think about that. Think about what he just said after Trump stated that we would be there for NATO, but he's not sure NATO would be there for us. You hear Jake Tapper of CNN state flat out that the only time anybody has needed NATO to be there for them was the United States after September 11th. And of course, NATO came to our aid. So can you imagine being any of those countries that helped us in the Iraq or Afghanistan war and having to sit there while Trump says, I'm not sure you'll ever be there for me, and we've done all of this shit for you? They've actually had their countrymen, their soldiers, their military personnel die on behalf of the United States. We haven't, by way of NATO, died at all for any of their countries. So, like I said, what he said is not only historically false, it's really insulting to all of the service personnel from all of those countries that died on behalf of the United States. Oddly enough, Greenland being owned by Denmark per capita had the highest amount of deaths or casualties in the Iraq war than any other NATO member country. So right after September 11th, America invoked Article 5. You know, that whole all for one and one for all mindset of NATO. An attack against one is an attack against all. So once we received an attack by way of Al-Qaeda, we invoked Article 5. America did that, meaning all the other NATO member nations had to come help us out because we had been attacked. Denmark lost more of their soldiers, had a higher casualty rate per capita than any other country in the NATO union. And Trump is sitting there telling them, we don't know if you'll be there for us. Can you imagine how horrible that sounds? That's like you took a motherfucker off the street when they were homeless and let them stay in your house rent-free for 6 months. And a few years later, they're like, man, I don't know if I really needed you if you would be there for me. You realize how bad that sounds? Now, obviously, you'll never get an apology out of President Trump. But this is a perfect example, as I've said on this program before, of how in the future, similar to the Hangover movie films, you're going to end up having a future American world leader pick up the telephone, calling foreign leaders and saying, look, we fucked up. I mean, that needs to be addressed, what Trump did today. To tell nations that actually lost actual human beings on behalf of the United States, I don't know if you would be there for me, but we've always been there for you. Wow. I'll just leave it at that way. Wow. And now listen, remember, it was Joe Biden that couldn't string together a sentence, that had dementia, that didn't know where he was. Yet Trump gets up there and says this, in addition to referring to the nation of Greenland as Iceland, a whole different landmass. How is this not bad? Bad for Trump, bad for America, bad for, I just want to say, the free world in general. How is this not bad? Now, President Trump did change his tune. And by the way, tap the screen. We'll take the first caller at 10,000. But President Trump did ultimately change his tune. And obviously, this calmed a lot of people down.
We never asked for anything, and we never got anything. We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force, where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that. Okay? Now everyone's saying, oh, good. That's probably the biggest statement I made, because people thought I would use force. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force. All the United States is asking for is a place called Greenland, where we already had it, as a trustee, but respectfully returned it back to Denmark not long ago after we defeated the Germans, the Japanese, the Italians, and others.
Here's what I don't get about that also. And now you hear President Trump there making it clear we're not going to use force on Greenland. I don't know what weight that has at this point because of all of the awful things he said leading up to this. Now he has told us Americans that they've tentatively made some sort of a deal and that there's no need for any future discussion on using force to acquire Greenland, and there's no need to tariff all the European nations that were against it. So it sounds like all's well. But here's the problem. Whatever President Trump, I'm going to submit this to you, and I'll certainly love to hear your opinion, even if it's a counter thought. Whatever Trump got from Greenland in this so-called negotiation or deal, do you think that he could have still gotten that without having to threaten to take their country? Greenland was on peaceful terms with America. We have a treaty in place that goes all the way back to 1951, allowing us to essentially operate bases on their continent. Why not just ask? You know, it's like literally having a guy that's 3 foot taller than you, much more muscular than you, threaten to beat your ass and steal your watch if you don't tell him what time it is. And you're looking up at this dude, knowing that you couldn't do anything with him. He's much stronger than you, thinking to yourself, why didn't you just ask me for the time? I would have told you that. You didn't have to threaten to beat my ass. I would have gave you that information. The point I'm making is the deal that Trump made with Greenland, he could have peacefully asked for that, and it's very unlikely that Greenland would have said no. Look, we for security purposes, we want to expand our military on the island. It'll work out for both of us. It'll work out for NATO. He could have went before a NATO summit and said that. And I can't imagine why they would say no. Most of the island is uninhabitable anyway. This is a clear-cut example of attracting more flies with honey and vinegar. The whole threat of taking them by force, I don't see what the necessity of that was, other than, and this is where I want to hear from you folks, it was never about security to begin with. President Trump, this is my analysis on this, and like I said, I want to hear your counterpoint. President Trump tried to strong-arm Greenland, and they didn't back down. And he was advised by folks that he had financial ties with, associates, and people that he really trusts that you can't go to war with Europe over this shit. But the nation, not the nation, but our allies known as NATO stood up to Trump and caused him to back down. That is the reason why we're not in Greenland. Nothing to do with the deal he made today, nothing to do with security. He believed that if you threaten the hell out of Greenland, NATO was too weak, too inept to stand up to him, and it was going to be a pushover. Did not expect NATO to actually stand up and say, fuck it, we willing to die for what we believe in. He didn't believe that. He didn't think that was going to actually happen. Once they stood up, knowing that we would be at odds with the entire continent of Europe at that point, no choice but to back down. Greenland never was worth all that to begin with. It was literally a strong arm robbery to try to get a few resources and minerals off of that island. And he never expected the whole fucking Europe to stand up to him. As an American, it may sound unpatriotic for me to say this, but bravo the European Union. Bravo Europe. Because what we were doing to them was absolutely wrong. Could have easily asked them to just put extra military on the island if it was about security. We were trying to steal the shit, trying to steal the whole fucking country. And thank God they were in NATO. Otherwise, we would be there now, just like with Venezuela. Anyway, looking in the comments, I'm not gonna. What does that say? Photo. I can't pronounce that. Photo something machines are the one thing you still have to calibrate to make chips. Okay, I don't get that. If I were the president of the USA, you would be my vice president immediately, says Jack. Like, appreciate that. Okay. Tap the screen, get us up to 10,000. We'll take the first caller. I'll go ahead and give you the spiel of the program. We are MAGA friendly. Always have been, always will be. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome on the program. Our comments are always uncensored. So regardless of your political opinion or affiliation, we don't censor you here. You can be critical of anybody on this program, including yours truly. Our comments go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with Q. Everyone gets to speak without censorship. Y'all still don't understand how Trump shit talks. The world don't understand how Trump shits talk. I get that MAGA are like Trump whisperers. You guys have some kind of special interpretation. It's just like with the Charlie Kirk shit where you took him out of context. Only MAGA knows what context Charlie Kirk should be taken. You guys got your own little language. I get it. But other folks get and have the right to interpret things that they hear how they see fit as well. So we're not all Trump whisperers. I'll just put it that way. Looking in the comments, are you colored MAGA? Wow, I've never been asked that before. No, I am not colored at all. Let me get my spectacles on. Ahmadi comes first, then Jesus descends in Damascus. What is happening is planned, which is why Syria is improving. The truth will soon be revealed, and repentance will be unavoidable. Wow. Is JD Vance gay? Who wears eye makeup? Look, there's plenty of men that are on TV often that wear makeup, usually in Hollywood, but look, Trump wears hand makeup. I've never seen somebody wear makeup on their hand. They do a few things different. Trump is trolling and folding fools. Trump is president of the United States. I don't get where the trolling comes in. I don't get where trolling should be part of his job. Trolling sounds like something high schoolers do on social media, not somebody that's leading a nation of 300 plus million people and essentially all the free world. I don't understand why you guys cheer that shit on. That's my opinion. I don't get why you cheer that stuff on. That's coming from the leader of the free world. Why are you trolling millions of people? I mean, the only reason you troll folks is to genuinely try to create an adverse opinion in them. You troll people to literally make them upset, to literally play odds. Why would the leader of the free world do something like that? And I would also add, why would millions of people cheer that on? What is the gain in deliberately angering a large portion of your own countrymen? I don't understand that whatsoever. And then all of a sudden it becomes an well, you guys got Trump derangement syndrome. I'm going to try to make you cry, and then I'm going to complain when you do. Tell me how that makes sense. I want to see liberal tears, and then I'm going to act shocked when I see liberal tears. Somehow, some way, to a large portion of this country, that shit makes sense. God, let me know what your kids are like. Do you go around and beat your kids' ass and then complain when they start crying? I don't understand that. Let me go to the box. That makes no sense to me. I'm just going to tell you that. If you're going to troll people and then complain they got TDS, that makes zero sense to me. Tamar, New Jersey's best. Good evening, Tamar. Welcome to the program. Do we really need NATO? I'm asking that question at Tamar. Good evening.
What's going on, Ted?
Not much at all. Good to have you on.
I say yeah, but that speech he gave today, wow, a total narcissist.
Explain.
Like,
give me the narcissistic greatest hits.
Yes, explain. He said that he basically, like you said, just left out Europe, like a lot of people didn't die doing after 9/11. In Iraq and Afghanistan. And as we know, they was in Iraq for no real reason because Saddam didn't have weapons of mass destruction.
So we actually gave them a reason to fight that was illegitimate, and they lost people because of it.
Yeah, and he just like you said, it's like somebody let you live in their house for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And then years later, they like, man, I don't even know if I can depend on you. Like, what? Like, how embarrassing is that?
I don't know. I mean, one of the things, the first thing I'm thinking is, does he actually know history? Because that, to me, that is a really concerning thing to do to people that have fought and died beside you, to say that. So only way I could imagine somebody would make that type of misstep is you just are not aware of history.
Word. Like, it's like, and MAGA, they love it. You should have heard the dude at my job. He's like, oh, Trump is, we got Greenland and this and that, and Trump is, no, he wasn't on hinge today. He wasn't nothing. He was fine. And I'm like, what?
Why do you? I guess, but you are correct. MAGA was overwhelmingly excited about the notion of taking Greenland by force. Why do you think that is? Why do you think MAGA has such a different view on this? They're gung ho about literally taking over a sovereign nation by force.
Because we know they're cult members, Tim. They do whatever, like I said before, they're like toddlers. They hear their father repeat something, and then they're gonna repeat it.
What do you say?
They wasn't down with it.
You said who?
At first. They wasn't down with that at first.
Well, they didn't know he was going to do that. I don't think when Trump was campaigning, I don't recall him ever campaigning suggesting that we want to take Greenland even if it's by force.
No, he never did.
But
it's bad. It's just bad business the way they conduct themselves. Like forcing them, and then you get what? You could have just got the bases and then work something out with the minerals if that's what you wanted. Yeah. You could have did it behind the scenes. You didn't even have to do it the way he was doing it.
Yeah, that's my take, is that, okay, now they claim Trump is suggesting that a deal has been made, and I'm kind of the same way you're suggesting, is that you could have done this without ever threatening to use military force against them. This is something you guys could have easily talked about. Probably wouldn't have had to pay Greenland anything, because you're talking about operating in an area of their country that's uninhabited anyway. I don't understand why it escalated all the way up to the threat of force.
Did Greenland or Denmark say anything about this agreement that they made? Because only I know is Trump posted it on Truth. That's it.
Yeah, well, listen, Trump, when he says they're eating cats and dogs and things like that, if you don't have backup, remember, every single world leader Trump meets with, he comes back and says it was a really great positive meeting. He said that with Kim Jong-un, he said that with Vladimir Putin, and nothing comes out of this stuff. So you got a loud background. You got a TV on or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really loud.
I didn't even know you can put that up. I got my
it's pretty loud.
Noise canceling.
Okay.
That's better.
Yeah, much better. Yeah, but Trump is going to tell you anytime he meets with a world leader, the outcome was great. And oftentimes nothing comes out of it, because he said that when he went to North Korea and met Kim Jong-un. He said that when Vladimir Putin came over and met him in Alaska. And nothing comes out of that stuff. So if he tells us a deal has been made in regards to Greenland, if you don't hear the Greenlanders and folks in Denmark or members of the European Union saying it, I would be hesitant in terms of confidence that it happened.
Yeah, you're right, because we haven't seen no deal on paper yet. All these deals, we haven't seen like maybe one, and I don't even know which one that was, but all the deals, he hasn't actually shown anything on paper.
But he did announce he's not using force. What do you think there's a reason behind that?
Yeah. I mean, come on. The stock market's going crazy because of the tariffs that he put on the people?
Shit. Americans were going crazy, period. I mean, the idea of going to war with Europe, he had a stock market. Investors are going crazy. There's going to be tariffs on all of Europe. But
They said they was going to pull the. Europe said they wasn't going to send their soccer players to the cup too.
I don't know why
they said they was going to pull their soccer players.
I don't know why they've been haven't done that. I don't know why. Certainly, Latin America. I don't know why they haven't done that already to begin with.
Right. Hey, it's only begun. Just like in everything in Minnesota, I told you that's the beginning. This is just the beginning.
What are you expecting?
He wants to cause mayhem.
What kind of mayhem are you? What kind of mayhem are you expecting?
So anything to stop the elections, to stop the midterms, he can't win them. He knows he can't. So if you're in power like him, what are you gonna do? You're gonna do as much as you can do to stop that shit. And he's gonna find a reason. He's gonna start calling what's the insurrection or martial law. He's gonna declare that shit.
Now Trump suggests he's
gonna do it.
Trump suggests he's going to do. He and the Republicans are going to do very well in the midterms. You're saying that as opposed to
talked about it like 2 or 3 times already this year about stopping the elections. Remember when the Carolyn Lovett or whatever her name is, the lip chick with the shit in her lips, her. When she was one of the reporters said something about it, and she said, "Oh, he was just joking. He was being facetious or some shit like that."
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing else. That's what I asked earlier. I don't understand why anybody would champion a president, quote unquote, trolling about not having free and fair elections. I don't see why people think that is funny or favorable at all. By the way, thank you for the hat there, Cedric. Yeah, but I don't understand why anybody would favor that, huh?
He's done it like twice this year already.
So you actually believe that he's not trolling? You actually believe that he's not trolling, that he's actually going to try to prevent the midterms from taking place?
Tim, he's got 3,000 ICE agents in Minnesota, and he was talking about sending more soldiers to Minnesota. It's cold as fuck out there. It's cold. I'm in New Jersey, and it's cold right now. So can you imagine what Minnesota is? You in Chicago, so I know you used to something, but can you imagine how cold it is?
It's very cold.
And motherfuckers ain't gonna be acting up and doing stupid shit like that.
Well, I disagree, but I believe they're gonna be acting up and doing stupid shit because ICE is there. If ICE was not there, everybody would be indoors. ICE being there is what's steering it up.
And then they kicked somebody's door in, dragged him out in his damn underwear, and he was a citizen. And then people's comments is like, "Oh, he didn't show ID or whatever." They kicked his door in, and it wasn't even the person that they was looking for.
I don't have an answer because I'm seeing in the comments like right now, for instance, Jero says ice baby. There's a lot of folks that really like what ICE is doing.
Look at that. Look at that. Coke talk. Ice baby.
I don't know if it's cult talk there, tomorrow. I think it's the idea that they believe what ICE is doing was long needed. They're doing what's been needed to be done for a long time.
Like I said, I blame that on the Democrats. Yes, they did let immigration get out of control, but you can't go around grabbing people off the street like dogs. Yeah. Like a dog catchers catching dogs.
Yeah, I hear they're currently in the state of Maine now going house to house. Maine has a lot of Somalis as well. I see in the comments somebody said I just walk around in my underwear with my ID. I don't know. I mean, go ahead.
Like you said, like you could just run out, go to the store, forget your ID, but got, your money, go get whatever, going to get a couple of tall cans or something, and all of a sudden these motherfuckers hop out on you on masks and shit, talking about where you from. Let me see some papers. Like what? That's like almost like the slave catchers.
Go ahead.
No, it's like almost like slave catchers, except now they added Mexicans and black people because they might think you're from Somalia, even though we know, you know what I'm saying? We know somebody that's different from the islands or Africa and shit.
Yeah. In the comments, one of my viewers, Handsome Conservative, says, to answer your question, we don't need NATO. NATO needs us. Do you agree with him that we don't need NATO? NATO needs us.
Well, how come, like you said, we never really actually fought no wars for NATO since the Second World War, but they helped us when we were in need after 9/11.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you?
Yeah, my point would be this. If we don't need NATO after September 11th, we asked NATO for help less than 24 hours later. That don't come across like you don't need these motherfuckers. You didn't wait.
Wasn't there tanks in the Middle East that said NATO and shit like that?
They had people that got beheaded fighting on behalf of us. I mean, it would be different if America went over there. A month, 2-3 months later, they thought, listen, we could use NATO for surveillance purposes or some backup. We asked NATO for help less than 24 hours later. That don't sound like we don't need them. Yeah, and they were there too, and they answered the call, but we asked them for help.
It's disrespectful, like you said. It's disrespectful. People lost their lives helping us fight 9/11. Yes, we should have been in Afghanistan, not as long as we should. But we had no business being in Iraq, and a lot of people lost their lives there too. And like you said, Denmark. I was trying to call in earlier on one of your lives and tell you that Denmark had lost more people than any one of the European states, countries.
Yeah, Denmark lost per capita. Denmark had more people killed per capita than any other. I mean, the thing about it is, the response to September 11th essentially went on about 20 years because we were in Iraq. Then we were in Afghanistan, and those countries were working on our behalf for all of that. So you're talking 20 years they put in beside the United States, and Trump gets on stage and is like, I don't know if I can depend on you if something happened. I mean, this ain't been that long ago.
Wasn't NATO with us in Vietnam too?
That I don't know. I'm not aware of that. Yeah, that one I don't know.
Like the movie, what's that movie with Mel Gibson and how it starts?
You're talking about We Were Soldiers. You're talking about We Were Soldiers.
Yes. In the beginning of that was French soldiers or something like that.
I mean, I don't know if it was all of NATO though. It could have been some of our allies. And I see in the comments, Pepsi says yes they were. Yes they were. So yeah. To me, what Trump said comes across is not only is him being narcissistic and arrogant, but like he don't really know world history.
But yet he's the president of the United States, like you just said, a president that doesn't know history, because he's done a couple of things. He said throughout since his second term, that's been he's been inaccurate about history.
Yeah.
If you go back.
When he's being interviewed, whether it's on Air Force One or standing outside of Marine One or the White House, some reporter needs to ask him about this. Like you said, you don't know if we can depend on NATO. Do you know what happened after September 11th? Because to me, it sounds like when he made this statement, he was either not aware of them helping us in the past, or it wasn't on his mind or something. Because like that,
he just don't care. That's what they love, that he just don't give a fuck. Like he's a mob boss. He thinks he's a mob boss and he doesn't give a fuck about anything. Nothing about history, nothing about what people have done, other countries have done to help America. And he's just Trump. Because look how he started talking about Somalia in that plate. What was it? What kind of meaning was it?
We mean when he said Somalis are garbage.
Yeah, he called them low IQ and everything today. On a natural stage.
Yeah, and you talk about
you're saying about people in your country.
Yeah, and not only that, but you talk about Trump derangement syndrome. He can't stop talking about Biden for shit.
Nope.
Biden's name came up so many times, like he cannot stop talking about Joe Biden.
It's so funny. I was thinking about you when he said that about Biden having the Biden syndrome.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I tell my MAGA viewers all the time. You give me your definition of what derangement syndrome is, and tell me Trump doesn't have it. Can't keep his name out your mouth, lives in your head rent free. Like, tell me Trump doesn't have some form of derangement syndrome. If you really want to talk about
it with Obama too in his first term. Obama this, Obama, especially during the pandemic.
I can't argue with Trump, though, because, listen, it's gotten him a long way. Old dog, new tricks. It's worked for him very well. Attacking folks has been really, really beneficial to Trump. So if I'm in Trump's situation or if I'm in Trump's shoes, I'm gonna ride it out. It's always worked for him.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's not going to work out for him because he's not winning the midterms.
He ain't got
And,
nothing.
and the first thing, and if the regular election does happen, and it ends up being a majority Republicans in the House, he's gone. They're gonna impeach him before the new year comes in.
Well, you know, anytime Trump is impeached, the right is going to instantly think it's just yet another Democratic witch hunt. So we'll see how that goes. And I think that if they tried to impeach Trump and certainly tried to remove him from office, MAGA would make January 6th look like child's play. I think they would certainly come out again.
But that's what he wants. He wants, and it's almost like he's trying to destroy the economy and try to get like on a crypto thing or something.
Well, let's be honest. Under normal circumstances, he could likely go to prison. So the man is fighting for his life. As long as this kind of shit happens, Epstein files don't come to this. Huh?
Isn't he immune? Don't he have like total immunity? Didn't the Supreme Court give him some type of like presidential immunity or something?
I don't think the whole stuff that Jack Smith went against him on for stealing the election. No, Supreme Court didn't give him immunity for that. If that actually comes to court and Jack Smith can actually present a decent case, no, you don't have immunity from trying to steal an election. So he's fighting for his life. I understand it. He's fighting for his life. And if for some reason he's impeached, I mean, God knows what may happen. Not only may he be held accountable for things that the Democrats think he's done here, they may hand him off to somebody international. So the man is fighting for his life.
He gave ICE $1 billion. It's almost like his personal army. They've got more funding than any branch of military or division, FBI or anything in history. $1 billion.
1 billion. Now they raised the budget from 8 billion to 28 billion. ICE got a lot of money. ICE got more.
Yes, they got $1 billion from the big ugly bill.
Yeah.
$1 billion.
I thought they went from 8. They got a lot more than $1 billion, man. Their budget went from 8 billion to 28 billion in that bill you're talking about.
God, really?
Yes. Yes, they're paying you 50 G's just to sign up. Don't you want some ICE money? You want that 50 stacks?
They're giving them incentives for every head that they crack or every arrest that they make, even if it's not a legit one.
Well,
they're still getting paid.
I got to move it on, but MAGA loves ICE. They think ICE is doing the Lord's work, man. So we'll see.
One more thing, Tim.
Yeah.
How did that fake son of anarchy get that? Said that he was going to go to KFC to celebrate MLK. Fake ass son of anarchy.
You're talking about Gen X. You're talking about Gen X. Yeah.
Did you not hear when he said that?
Yeah, I read it out. I actually read it. He said, in honor of Martin Luther King's birthday, he's going to stop off at KFC. Yes, I did see that.
I was telling him I don't wish bad on people like that, but I hope he choke on that damn chicken.
I'll leave it at that. Tamar, thanks for coming through, man.
Yep.
Appreciate it. All right, moving on with the program. By the way, tap the screen. Get us on up to 25,000. Let your thumbs not be lazy. Wait, who said? Gen X, fuck around and find out, said that. On Martin Luther King Day, we were having a show, and he said, I'm going to honor MLK Day by going to KFC and getting some chicken. Looking in the comments, dude, affordability is the worst it's the worst it's ever been. I don't know if affordability is the worst it's ever been. I mean, there was the Great Depression and there's been recessions. However, I'm not going to pretend like Trump has affordability at the worst it's been, but I'm also not going to agree with Trump in suggesting that the economy is the best it's ever been, which is what he is saying right now, is that America is the hottest country on the planet. In our economy, he said it again today on the world stage, and I'm watching this. And I'll take the next caller at 25,000. I'm watching President Trump give this speech. Hopefully, many of you watched it, or if not, you can see it on YouTube or whatever. And everybody's sitting around. All of these world leaders want to know what he's about to say about Greenland, and he's up there talking about the 2020 election. How he's granted no tax on tips. Now, you're in Europe, tipping is not even a thing. So why the hell are you going to go tell the Europeans you've granted Americans tax breaks on tips? They don't even do that in Europe. You go to a restaurant, tipping culture is not even there. So I'm like, why are you telling these people all this irrelevant shit about the 2020 election and Joe Biden, sleepy Joe Biden, and all this stuff that means nothing to them? About how you brought inflation down and the jobs you're creating in a country that they have no interest in visiting. Totally irrelevant stuff. I see in the comments somebody says, Jerry Garcia says total flex nonsense. Yeah, you're flexing to a crowd about something they don't give a shit about whatsoever. It's like literally sitting down with a brain surgeon telling you about some scalpel he or she bought that's really sharp and allows you to perform really great surgery. And you happen to be a truck driver. Like, this ain't got, I don't give a fuck about a scalpel. This is meaningless information to me. You're going to spend 20 minutes talking about tax breaks with no tax on tips and all this other. This stuff is meaning to us, sir. We came to hear about getting some kind of peace on Greenland. We don't care about tax on tips coming from Switzerland somewhere. We don't give a shit about that. Anyway, looking in the comments. We pay our waitresses an actual salary, says Gary Roberts. What country are you in, Gary? And that is true. When I lived in Australia, the hourly rate for people in food service in those industries was much higher because they don't tip. They don't tip. I think when I went over there in 2005 or 6 or something like that, they were already giving waitresses somewhere near $20 an hour. In America, I believe in America, you can pay a waitress as low as like $2 or $3 an hour because of the tipping culture. They expect that server to recoup the other wages from tips. I think waitresses can get paid well under $5 an hour. Bartenders too. Their salaries are really, it's below minimum wage. I've never worked in that industry. Anyway, looking in the comments, $3.10 in Idaho, says Pinky. Yeah, you can get him a $3.10 an hour. That's terrible. You absolutely have to be tipped if you're getting paid that low. So if you got one of those waitresses or bartenders or somebody serving you getting paid like that, and they sweating you for a tip, and your response is no, you got to earn the tip. You got to actually give me impressive service. A tip is not automatic. Understand why they sweating you. They ain't getting paid shit. They may not have earned a tip in your eyes, but they've earned a higher salary than that. That's crazy. Anyway, looking in the comments, have to be $30 to $40 an hour in Australia. Well, like I said, I've been gone for 15 years, so I'm sure they pay more. Unlike America, most other countries, their minimum wage moves. America's minimum wage doesn't move. I mean, America's minimum wage in many states is the same as it was back in 2005 and 6. Looking in the comments though, I wonder if Kaliningrad. Okay, these are foreign words I cannot pronounce. Kaliningrad has the Islander missile system. They could use tactical nuclear into NATO that will spark World War III. Here's the problem with that. And I'll go to the box. America has this notion that NATO is just weak, just inept. And I don't understand where that's coming from, considering how many nations that are part of NATO that are nuclear. I don't understand that, but America seems to see NATO, I don't know, equivalent to South Korea or something. They got NATO way down on the scale. Regardless of the fact that NATO could not compete with the United States militarily, they could compete with most other countries on Earth. Out of the 180 countries on Earth, how many countries could take on NATO with any successful results? There's only you could say China, Russia, I guess, if they're fully equipped and ready to go. Outside of that, what other country could take on NATO and have a decent chance of winning? NATO was way the hell up there. So the idea that NATO is weak makes no sense at all. I don't understand why people say that. Real quick before we go on to the next caller, Another statement President Trump made here, I want you guys to hear because this is another nation that we may have to ultimately apologize to, our neighbors to the north.
All we want from Denmark for national and international security and to keep our very energetic and dangerous potential enemies at bay is this land on which we're going to build the greatest golden dome ever built. We're building a golden dome that's going to, just by its very nature, going to be defending Canada. Canada gets a lot of freebies from us, by the way. They should be grateful also, but they're not. I watched your Prime Minister yesterday. He wasn't so grateful. But they should be grateful to us. Canada lives because of the United States. Remember that, Mark?
How does Canada, and by the way, he's addressing the Prime Minister. I want to play a quick second of that again. Listen to the end of that.
States, remember that, Mark, the next time you make your statements.
I mean, that's bold. Not only did he downplay Canada like that, the Prime Minister of Canada is in the room and he's calling him out like, you need to remember, you wouldn't be around if it wasn't for this. Sounds like some Suge Knight type shit. My God. But what do you guys think by way of yes or no in the comments? Do you agree with Trump that without America, Canada wouldn't be around? I guess the world wants to take Canada out or something like that. How many of you folks agree with that? That without America, Canada would not be around. Tim, our military has alien technology. They have sticks and stones. You realize how many other countries have nukes other than just America? MAGA Reacts. Good evening. Welcome to the program. By the way, folks, help your boy out with that TikTok cap. Gold there. Helps out the program. Shows the support. MAGA Reacts. What the hell happened today?
Nothing happened. They had a meeting. Everybody's happy. He was talking with NATO about what's it called? About Greenland, and he was talking with Egypt about Gaza. So
you believe everybody's happy? I have not heard of any of these countries on YouTube or anywhere else claiming to be happy. I haven't heard that.
It's an expression, just an expression. I didn't seriously think everybody was happy. Just the overall tone was a cheery one.
I haven't heard that. I have not. I've heard Trump paint some sort of successful picture behind the scenes negotiating with these countries. I have not heard from any of these countries in regards to that. It's Trump saying that somehow, some way, something came out of this. Nobody else is saying that.
Look, I mean, he showed the text messages the other day that shows that when they talk to him, everything's good and that these people are happy to work with him. So, like, for you to tell me, oh, what he's saying is a lie because whatever, I'm like, he showed us the text messages. Like, what do you want him to do? Put a lie detector on these people and record it for you? To be like, look, they're not lying about working with me to secure Greenland.
Well, securing Greenland and owning Greenland are two different things. That's the first thing.
But that's the goal, to secure Greenland and protect our northern. It's one of our goals. There's more than one.
Do you agree with him that the only way we can secure Greenland is to take it over and own it?
I mean, I don't agree with him on that, and I don't think it's the only way. But the goal is to secure it and to get the resources so China doesn't have us by the balls.
But you do understand that the people of Greenland and the people of Denmark are both saying there is no threat from Russia or China, that the United States is making that up. They're on record saying we don't have any concerns with Russia or China doing any of this.
Tell that to Ukraine, and it's funny how they say, it's funny how they use Finland and all these other countries like as he's gonna go after Finland and all the other former Soviet Union states after he's done with Ukraine. Yeah, now he's not a threat. Which is it? Is he a threat that's trying to take Finland and Georgia and all these other countries that used to be in the Soviet Union?
Greenland.
And we shouldn't worry about him.
If he's trying to reestablish the Soviet, Greenland was never part of that.
No, I know, but it makes him a threat to Finland and all the other Arctic nations. And being all those nations are Arctic nations, makes Greenland very important.
Now there's this this peace group. I forgot what it's called, but some nations are talking about getting together for. I forgot the name of it. Somebody let me know. Trump wants Russia to be part of this group of peace. And the question to be asked is if Russia is such a threat to the United States and Greenland, why is he on the back end fighting? Because this is about the stuff in Gaza or whatever the case may be. Trump wants Russia on this council. If they're a bad guy, why do you want them involved in this?
I mean, they've always been involved in Gaza and Syria and all these places. They could negotiate with people that we can't negotiate with. But it's just a thought.
Who is Russia negotiated with that we couldn't negotiate with?
With Iran, with Syria, with all these people that hate us.
What has come out of any negotiation with Iran or Syria that America found positive? We had to bomb Iran a few months ago and Syria since Trump has been president. I don't see where Russia's negotiating with them to our satisfaction on anything.
Well, I don't know. I can't predict the future, so I can't tell you if it's going to come in handy or it's a waste of time. But the more we cooperate, the more we have relations, the less likely we are to go to war with each other in the future.
So we're okay with suggesting that Russia negotiate on our behalf, but we're not even going to negotiate with Greenland. We're going to just straight threaten to bomb them by force and take their country.
Why would we bomb or do anything like that? Us taking over Greenland is just, we literally go over there and that's it. There's not going to be a single thing fought. The Greenlanders are not even going to feel it. If Greenland becomes part of America, nothing changes. They get an extra passport. Their passport turns blue. That's the only change they're going to feel.
Have we ever taken control of a country and they didn't feel it?
Yeah, a lot of them.
Give me some examples.
Tell the U.S. Virgin Islands, which we also got from Denmark.
We use their money. Our elections matter. What, you're telling me the U.S. Virgin Islands, nothing changed in that country, on that island at all once America owned it?
Versus a small nation all the way across the world, like, you know.
Well, then here's what I'm wondering: if we're concerned that Russia or China could take over Greenland and literally have access to the United States, as we put it, in our backyard, hemisphere-wise, so we need to take over Greenland and prevent that from happening. Because they could also enter Canada and have access to America and be in our backyard as well. And Canada can't defend itself against Russia or China either. So the question I'm asking is, if we could do that on Greenland, what's stopping us from saying the same thing about Canada?
At least Canada has a military and has...
Canada cannot... we know Russia and China could take over Canada. We know that already. Even with Canadian military, they could not stop one of those countries.
It's kind of funny you said that, because China already owns most of the real estate, mountains and shit, that makes it hard for them to...
Greenland is a solid block of ice. And you're telling me they can't climb the mountains. They can damn near go to the North Pole and operate in freezing temperatures, but they can't climb a mountain.
Look, the goal is to, one, protect against missiles, two, secure the waterways. The waterways are becoming more important. Russia has a city that they pay people to live in because, they want to establish that is their land,
How about this?
Same shit. We're the ones that we're falling asleep at the wheel here. If it's so worthless, why is Russia and China working to secure the North Pole?
Well, MAGA, I would throw this at you. As opposed to constantly being on the defense against Russia and China and not even being willing to negotiate with your own allies and talking about taking one of their... why not try to come to diplomatic terms with Russia and China so that you're not always at odds and thinking about going to war with them? Why not turn your negotiations towards them as opposed to towards your own people?
I mean, Trump does all that. The problem is every time he'd open... just this talk a minute ago, he's trying to involve Russia in a thing, and you're like, oh, why is he involving Russia in the peace group? So which is it? Do you want him to negotiate with Russia, or like a one-track guy like Biden was?
He's not a one-track guy, and I think that's the problem. Like, you asked me, which is it? I would deflect that question to him, which is it? One day you're talking about negotiating with Russia, the next monster on the world stage. I mean, that's what he does. One day he's speaking, they're hot and they're cold. He does that. One day he's talking
That's
about.
how the world works. That's how everybody works.
No,
One day
it's
they're
not.
hot,
No,
one day
it's
they're
not.
cold.
No, it's not. You don't hear leaders.
I mean, are you still with your first girlfriend, or is she your ex now?
I don't go
I mean,
around.
I'm sure she loved you, and now she's fucking hates you. So people go from hot to cold all the time.
I don't go around.
Nobody stays the same, and like
No.
it's funny, that you guys make it as a bad thing that Trump adapts to the situation and Trump tries different.
Also states, or they're a friend. One day he's telling us how intelligent Putin is and how he's a great guy. The next day he's telling us that Russia may try to take over the world. And then the next day he's back to how great Putin is. I don't know any other world leader that has led this country that does that.
Look, it's because he's a smart guy that we should worry about him. If he was stupid, he wouldn't be a threat. You not understand that part?
I don't understand
that part. If
that
he was
part.
a dumbass like Biden was, prepare for the worst, but wish for the best. And you're like, oh, when he wants for the worst, Trump's the dumbass.
How about just some consistency? Either you feel that China and Russia are a threat, or you feel that their leaders are great, awesome people. I mean, it can't be both. One day he's favorable to these countries. The next day he's talking about how they want to take over the world. And then the next day he goes back to being favorable. How do you follow that?
I mean, that's how the world works.
No,
man.
it's not.
The brain's not big enough to figure that out. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's like any other fucking situation, People could be your competition, but, they could also be your, you could pop right.
Do you have people in your life that you do that? You compliment them one day and then you're bashing them and going back. I don't get involved. Listen, if I gotta bash you that much, I don't need to be around you. No need to talk about you anymore. I don't keep complimenting and bashing, going back and forth. It's a hard path to follow. That's the point. Either you telling us we should be worried about this country, or we shouldn't be. You got to pick a side. You can't keep going back and forth.
Well, that's not how the world works, because once upon a time, Russia was our friend. Then they were our enemy, then they were our friend, then they're our enemy. I mean, it's just how fucking politics works. Same with Germany. They used to be our worst enemy, then they became one of our greatest allies.
I don't recall Franklin Delano in Germany was doing. I don't recall us saying positive things about Germany. It was a bad country. We didn't say Trump is trying to play both sides of this.
I mean, maybe not. I mean, first of all, there's no TV in front of him 2 hours
Radio.
every day.
There's radio.
He did have radio. But it's different because we were actively at war. I'm sure before the war, everybody didn't know if the Nazis were good or bad.
Yeah, well, when
they claim to be socialists, I want to help everybody. Like these dumbass people claim to be socialists, I want to help everybody, and they ended up being evil.
I think what you're trying to
socialists ended up being the worst evil the world's
politicians did, when that is historically not true. You don't have other politicians going back and forth complimenting and insulting the country over and over again. That does not happen. You're making it sound like that's the way the world works. There is no historical how the United States works. That is not how the United States has worked historically. No other president was doing that.
That's not how the media has worked, but that's always how the world works. I mean, look at Israel and Egypt. We used to be enemies. Now we're decent allies. I mean, it's worked like that all over the place. Like people don't stay your enemies forever.
I don't think
you're like Vikings and the English ended up becoming one nation. They ended up merging after killing each other for 100 years.
I don't think you get what I'm saying. While I agree with you,
because it makes no sense, Tim.
Well, let me help you out, because you're
black and white.
Let me help you out. Let me help you. Let me make it make sense for you. While I agree, some nations have been our friends and then became our enemies, and vice versa. You don't normally hear any American president indicating they're both simultaneously. Like when there are allies, there are allies. Only under Trump is he saying positive and negative things about you at the same time. When you're pointing out enemies, you're talking about something in the past versus now. Not at the same fucking time.
Today we know our enemies more than ever. Like even like Iraqis, even Iranians right now. We know them as people as well. So even though Iran is our enemy, we know the Iranian people are good and we shouldn't hate them. So it's it's the same thing.
I have
Like,
never heard
they're
Trump
both
say
are
anything.
edited,
I have
but
never
they're
heard
also,
Trump
like,
say
perceptive human
anything
beings
positive.
like us.
I have never heard Trump say anything positive about the Iranian leadership. He is not flip-flopping on them like he's doing on Russia. He is not doing that.
He was pretty happy when they ended that 10-day war. So
That does
happy
not
that
change what I
ongoing
just
10-day
said.
war.
That does not change what I just said. He has never said anything positive about the Iranian leadership like he does about Putin. Anything positive about the Iranian leadership. It hasn't happened. You cannot find that video. Same thing about Syria.
He decided not to shoot back after we blew up their stuff. He said something positive.
No, he did not.
That's how he is.
He did not say anything positive about that. Look, you can pretend like it's out there. I would love to see it, but you're not going to be able to present it.
By the way, it doesn't matter. Like you're nitpicking this stuff. It doesn't like. I could say some bad shit about you and then say some good shit the next day. It depends how I feel about you that day. It depends what you did and depends like how I'm using it. Because he still calls him a bad guy. He's just like I said, tells you he's a smart bad guy. If he was a stupid bad guy, then we don't have to worry about him.
Here's a homework assignment I'd give you. I mean, since you're suggesting that this is just the way, or Bush clips of them saying negative and positive things about the same country in the same time period.
I'm sure I could easily find them.
Well, then back it up. Easily find it.
The other problem is they're not on video as much as Trump was. They don't have as much shit.
You just said you could easily find it. Now you're backtracking.
No, I'm hoping I will. But,
hoping.
You know.
So you went from easily find it to hoping now.
I won't find out until I actually do it.
Well, since you said
with that girl, did you see the second video? And you see how they gave her like it felt like an hour, but it was only like a minute. They gave her all the time in the world to leave, and
I saw the video. I saw the video, and I didn't see that. To me, it looked like they told her.
You saw the second one or just the first one?
I saw just the first one, and it was like
watch the second one. She had so much time because the first one is cut in the middle. I don't know why you didn't notice the cut, but it's missing like 50 seconds in the middle. They gave her all the time in the world. She had nobody but they let her go. They left the car clear because they got distracted by some other guy. And then, she still wouldn't leave. What
I don't like is ICE is now doing traffic stops. They're way beyond just immigration duties. They're now doing traffic stops and things like that. People that are filming, they're walking up and taking camera. There's a Minnesota cop that said she got pulled over and she grabbed her phone and they took the phone. That ain't part of immigration.
They can, and I'm pretty sure I could easily find you videos of them doing the same shit for years. Like I said, I got a playlist of 20 videos.
Stopping Americans. Listen. What they're doing is they've been granted additional powers than they use. They didn't used to be able to just walk up to a citizen and tell them, "Prove to me you're an American." They've never had that right. They've never had in the U.S. city. To walk up to your
additional rights
to walk up to
been passed. All they got was additional funding.
No, all they got is an additional president that don't give a damn about what laws are in place. To walk up to your porch, knock on your door, and tell you prove you're an American.
Well, a lot of it is the new media attention because it is Trump. But I have all the same.
So you saying that was happening? So you saying they always been doing that?
Yeah, all the same headlines of today, I found them 10 years ago during Obama. All the same shit that's being said today was being said about them 10 years ago.
Yeah, and I think that's a patent lie because if they were doing that under Obama,
right now, if you want to do it, I'll turn on my
camera. I gotta move on for time.
I sent you the link.
All right,
let's watch them.
Send me the link. We'll leave it at that.
I already did. It's already in your inbox. I did it before we even talked about this.
All right, we'll talk about it next time. I gotta go. Later. All right, moving on with the program. Tap the screen, get the like. So I don't think most of the stuff he said is true, which is what I told him. He claims you can easily find it. ICE was going around in American cities knocking on people's doors and demanding they prove they're citizens. There is no way in hell that Fox News and the right would not have went apeshit over that. That was not happening. I'll tell you right off the bat, that was not happening. That Fox News would just sit there and not say nothing about that. Or that ICE was able to do that and nobody captured. They always say, well, the media isn't, Hannity didn't have a crew. O'Reilly didn't have a crew. Rush Limbaugh didn't have a crew back then. If ICE was doing that back then, you would have heard about it. with Obama. You would have absolutely heard about that. That was not happening. The suggestion that ICE is not doing anything now that they were not doing under Obama is patently false. It is patently false. Looking in the comments, what it says, no way with Obama. Yeah, like I said, if Obama was doing it, you would have heard about that. You heard about kids in cages under. You heard about the deportations because Rush Limbaugh was calling him the deporter in chief. If they were stopping Americans and demanding paperwork, there's no way that would have been missed by the right-wing media. Anyway, looking in the comments, they would have impeached him. The Democrats wouldn't have even stood for it. No, they would not. The Democrats were protesting Obama's deportations when he was actually doing it. Help your boy out with the TikTok cap goal. God damn, it's slow in here. Show your boy some love. Yes, they were. Here is a video going around from CNN from that time where they were doing a ride-along with ICE. You're telling me CNN was doing a ride-along with ICE during the Obama administration, and they were just knocking on people's doors, demanding they prove they're citizens. Whoa, Mike. Shout out to you. Got the Tron graphic there. Appreciate that, Mike, support. Good evening, Mike, by the way.
What's up, dog?
Did you hear my last caller?
It's bullshit after bullshit after bullshit. That's all it is. And he doesn't have a life or spends the time to really research. So the Enemy Aliens Act is what Trump used to start this massive deportation. So let's talk about that, right? Okay. That's what kicked this all off. Using the Enemy Aliens Act.
Okay, and before you do that, I see Jermaine says MAGA loves to pivot, so he's talking about that. The Enemy Aliens Act. Go ahead and go into detail about this. Give me
right. So you remember when they had to deem MS-13 and the other trade whatever
as terrorists?
Right. That's what they did for that to do the deportations. When's the last time you heard him mention any of that shit, Tim?
Oh,
you haven't heard him at all, have you? Because this was supposed to be targeted for those people. This was supposed to be deporting those people that fell underneath that criteria and that 81-point system to get them out of this country. You remember the whole tattoos and affiliations, and if you've been affiliated and if you're even around them and you meet. It's funny how the affiliations of criminals only matter for one subset of groups, for one group, but the affiliation with all these other people around Trump that are convicted felons doesn't matter about affiliation.
Not to mention the affiliation with Epstein that he's actually trying to protect. But yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
You're right.
It's funny how affiliation with one group matters, but it doesn't with another group that you can deem a T group and actually pass no legislation to do anything about it.
Yeah. I don't understand that. To me, well, wait a minute though. He's saying he's seen 4 MS-13 arrested. Here's what I don't like, I don't favor. Arresting people for tattoos is insane. There are plenty of chicks out here back in their 20s. You holding somebody accountable for a tattoo as if they can't change their life, find God or something is insane. I mean, a tattoo? That's all it takes?
I know, and this is the part about all of this. Everything we're witnessing, they co-sign everything. Well, let me give you an example.
Yeah.
For the people that were okay with Donald Trump using military force to take over Venezuela, or do what he did with Venezuela, and potentially take over Greenland, they should be completely disappointed today that he said he wouldn't use military force. Right?
You just said it. He promised to do A, and MAGA would be down with A. If he decides tomorrow, no, I'm going to do B, MAGA's going to say B sounds like a good idea.
And I don't know how they don't see the inconsistency in their position with something so critical and harming so many people. It's so absurd at this point. I'm going to tell you, Tim, it's so absurd that every time I see somebody support him, continue to support him, it just further convicts me of who they are. You got to draw a line in the sand at some point. You do. You just have to.
Well, I mean, listen, the idea that Kamala Harris, could have been president, MAGA sees her as somebody that was going to destroy the damn country. So their idea is that, listen, Trump may not be perfect, but he's way better than the Biden or Harris administration.
I know that's what they're saying, but here's the hypocrisies that move on. So he does not want Ukraine to be a part of NATO because of what?
Because he thinks that NATO may you say he believes that Ukraine was flirting with NATO. He don't want NATO in his backyard is what I heard.
He don't want NATO in his backyard, right? That's his reasoning.
Right.
But we turn around, and we don't want Russia in our backyard.
And do the same thing Putin. What makes us any different than Vladimir Putin? Because we are threatening to attack Greenland for literally the same reason Russia attacked the Ukraine. I don't want an enemy in my backyard. Yet we chastise Russia for doing it. And here we are into Trump saying, yeah, we need to do that.
Yeah, it's such bullshit. And now he's not going to attack with military. They've got the framework of an agreement. Now, we know where this goes with Trump, right? 2 weeks, concept of a plan, yada, 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 right? We've heard this before.
Why do you think he backed off on the force?
Because all he wants is the resources, Tim, just like Venezuela, mineral agreement with Greenland, but that's beside the point. He's selling these idiots, his supporters, that this is about national security, has nothing to do with national security. Just like Venezuela had nothing to do with narcotics.
Yeah.
Come on, Tim. They accept his blatant lying to their face. It makes me wonder what kind of relationships these motherfuckers are in. Because you can accept this man you don't know lying to your face and pivot to sense.
Well, to make it make sense, they don't believe Trump is lying. They believe the liberals are just trying to bash him and they're making this shit up.
They don't need to hear anything from up here, and they don't even go back to what he said before. They move on to the new.
Trump said today we need to, be friends with North Korea because at this point we need to keep our adversaries closer. They would support that. If tomorrow he said, no, we need to nuclear, drop a nuke on them.
And this is the sad part of all of these supporters that continue to support this man in everything that he does, and he continues to show us none of this impacts the American people in a positive way. None of it.
But what about this? When I was in line to go see one of the Trump rallies I went to, I had someone tell me, in addition to having somebody tell me that Trump was ordained by God to lead this great nation, I had somebody also tell me that if you just trust Trump 99% of the times, things will turn out right. In other words, trust the process. You may not like what you're seeing now out of Trump, or you may not understand it. Similar to how they suggest that God works in mysterious ways. You may not understand, but understand God does everything for a reason. A lot of folks believe that Trump is similar to that. That you may not understand what's going on now. And I see in the comments, Captain America says God loves Trump. So you may not understand what's going on, but if you just roll with Trump 99% of the time, as one of my MAGA friends in line said, 99% of the time it'll turn out right for America. What say you?
They didn't vote for that. Listen, it's getting so easy. It's not even fun anymore to debate MAGA. They didn't vote for anything that you just said. They voted for day one. They voted for better benefits, lower groceries. All of this shit had nothing to do with what you just said.
Well, let me MAGA speak it for my beloved MAGA. I like to talk on behalf of MAGA. Here's the way I interpret. I believe MAGA, and when you say they didn't vote for these individual promises and policies, I believe MAGA voted for President Trump himself. We trust Trump. Okay, he's promising to do all this stuff right now, but we trust him. If he changes his mind, we trust that he changed his mind for a proper reason. Like I said, God was into remission. If your aunt passes away, you're now thanking God for the time you had with her. You're going to be happy with the result no matter what. I believe it works very similar to that.
I think I don't disagree with you. I think there's a subset of Trump supporters that are so far down in the cult, they're David Koresh themselves behind. Yeah, they're David Koresh and Jim Jones in themselves behind Donald Trump. I do not disagree with you about that. But then there's others. There's others that will say they don't like this, they don't like that, but they still support him, but they did not vote for him to come in and say it's gonna take a while. Be patient. They didn't vote for that, Tim. That's not what they were saying on your show. They were saying day one. They were saying 24 hours. They were saying everything's going to be great as soon as he gets in office because that's what he told them.
Okay, it ain't overnight, Mike. It ain't day one. He didn't end the war in 24 hours, but it's still way better than letting Kamala Harris destroy the country. That's the mindset.
I know. That's the racism.
Ooh.
Because that's what he's doing. She told them they were going to do.
Yeah. Her and Michelle Obama, yeah, they both called out. They called out quite a bit of what Trump. But then again, with Project 2025, it's not like he wasn't clearly advertising it.
No way. If you listen to them, he didn't know what they're eating right now. And they're so happy that she's out of the way. But here's the one thing about Trump supporters. You guys got to own it all.
They're happy to do that, Mike. In the comments real quick, though, 09329 says, LOL, that's not racism, not voting for Kamala. He said Kamala had a poor record in California, so not electing Kamala Harris has nothing to do with racism is what he's indicating. He said Kamala Harris was a bad candidate.
I know what he said. No, what he said was she had a poor record in California, which wasn't even true. Because people don't do their research about her record here in California. If they did their research and really looked at it, they would be like, she actually did a lot of great things. Yeah. That's why she was elected to her position multiple times, not appointed. But that's what happens when they don't read.
I'm torn in both directions on this. Yeah, I totally disagree that she had a bad record in California. In fact, Kamala Harris had a great record by Republican standards because she was locking every damn body up for things. And all of a sudden, because she was a Democrat, just like with Joe Biden with the crime bill, they suddenly are all of a sudden concerned about a candidate locking up a bunch of black guys. I don't know where that came from because they normally favor that. However, I do believe that Kamala Harris lost because she was a bad candidate.
Man, you know what? Stop saying that to me. Wait for somebody else to say that shit too, because you're going to piss me off about her being a bad candidate.
I do. Wait a minute. I give my reasons. I think she was a bad candidate.
I know you always say that, and I completely disagree with you, and I completely disagree with you.
Okay.
Because this didn't come down to her being a good or bad candidate. She was such a threat that he had to bring Elon Musk to give away lotto tickets, Tim. You got to be very yay. If she was such a bad candidate, he wouldn't have needed that. If she was such a bad candidate,
I think Elon Musk had his own personal agenda to get his tech bros in place to help his companies. He stepped out in the scene, offered Trump a bunch of money. Shit, I mean, we'll take the extra help. I don't think Trump called Elon. I think Elon called Trump.
Well, I don't give a fuck who you think calls who. My question is very simple. Do you think that she wins without Elon getting involved?
Yeah, I do. Not by I don't think no. I think she loses. I think she loses without Elon.
Nope, I don't think so at all. I think that, listen, Tim, you don't spend 253. We've had this conversation, and you kind of money if you're not going to influence the election for the W. You don't do that shit.
Listen.
So I ask you again.
Go ahead.
For $250 million and using Starlink and giving away lotto tickets to register to vote, are you sitting here with a straight face telling me that you don't think any of that influenced the outcome of this election?
I'm not saying, Dencal, appreciate the good galaxy. Thank you. I'm saying that Kamala Harris had over $1 billion that she lost every swing state. So just bringing up money alone ain't cutting it. There was no. I've said this. Let me tell you this. I know you don't favor this, but this is why I say Kamala Harris was a bad candidate. Trump supporters, just like with Obama, left rallies thinking, I really want to vote for that guy. I like what he's offering. I felt the same way walking out of an Obama presidential campaign. I really like Trump, the energy toward the candidate. I don't believe that energy was there towards Kamala Harris. People walked out of Kamala Harris rallies thinking, I really don't want to vote for Trump. She sounds like somebody I could get behind. But I don't think the energy that revolved around Obama and revolved around...
The polls showed that she did. I think that she went up in the polls. She was leading in the polls up into the election. Wasn't she?
She was leading in the polls because...
Okay.
I think that if you had to replace Kamala Harris with Walz, Newsom, Bashir, I think the polls would have said the same. I think that she was doing well in the polls because there was a huge anti-Trump sentiment out there. It wasn't pro-Kamala.
So if those people would have been leading in the polls too, would those guys have been all bad candidates?
If you can't get people to vote for you, and they're only you're only getting the "we hate Trump" vote, you're not a good candidate.
But Tim, you just said if you just swapped her out with any of those people, they would have been leading in the polls too.
Yeah, but I think that they would have been able to close the deal. I think some of them would have led by even more.
Because they were men?
No,
white man?
No, because some of them would have had the it factor, like I think like Obama and Trump has. Kamala Harris does not have the it factor. She just doesn't have it.
That's what I'm saying to you is with all of that being said, I'm simply saying, you're saying if you flip the roles and put those people involved, I do believe that they would have won because there's a lot of misogyny out there.
Right.
There's a lot of racism.
And before you can comment, so Zero is saying, what does being a man or woman have to do with it? Exactly what we're talking about, Zero. There's a ton of misogyny, certainly in the Hispanic community, certainly among Christians that don't believe a woman should be in that against women. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, yeah, and for the person that said that, what does a man and woman have to do with it? So I answered your question with the question. Tell me when the time that we've had a female president.
We haven't yet.
Okay, so let's move on. Exactly. So yeah, of course we haven't. Because at the end of the day, this country is still racist, is still xenophobic, homophobic, misogynist. A lot of men, and you've had them on your show, you've talked to men, you're on lives all the time where you hear men say they don't want a woman leading this
Celebrity Chase says tampon fraud Timmy would do worse than Kamala. No, I don't think so. Certainly maybe now. But when Tim Walsh was running for vice president, the Somali fraud and all that stuff wasn't around. I mean, he was a guy that was a veteran, a well-liked father. I mean, I think, my opinion, that ticket should have been reversed, Mike. I think Tim Walsh should have been at the head of that ticket. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, this country is just continuing to show the foundation of their roots. Right? A lot of times you don't get to see the roots of a tree. There's a lot of times where trees and branches have been shaped, cut down to the stump. But if you don't kill that stump, that shit starts to sprout again. And that's what we've seen in this country.
It's really sprouting now. We're in the middle of spring and the leaves are green. In the comments, Deborah Richards says, Gen X, fuck around and find out, fuck you. What are you guys talking? Gen X is... But you're right, Mike. It is really sprouting. I'll give you an example. I am simply put astonished how unpopular since President Trump has been reelected that Martin Luther King is becoming. The amount of negative shit I said about Martin Luther King a couple days ago on his day, I have never seen that before.
I haven't either. And you wonder, Tim. And so when these people always say we inject race into it, the first president that never acknowledged the man's birthday, right? He's the first president of our time. And then you listen to these people on this app and on just talking so disparagingly about Martin Luther King. But those feelings have always been there. They've always felt that way. They're just comfortable to say it now. See, everything that we're talking about right now isn't about, and I said this before, Tim, and I'll say it again. It's not about whether America has felt this way. It's whether they've been comfortable enough to say it. Yeah. That's all it is.
Yeah. Well, I've said this before. We can go back and forth whether Trump is racist. He is a pro-white president, though. I mean, I think that's pretty clear. You're kicking out brown immigrants. You're letting in white immigrants. I mean, you're talking about whites that are being victims of discrimination and possibly giving whites reparations. You know, you're talking about getting rid of Black history and Black holidays. Meanwhile, you're, bringing back Confederate names to I mean, he is a pro-white president. I don't think there's any denying that.
No. It not only is that, and listen, he's a racist to me. But let's just say this: if they're trying, and I'm gonna go back to the beginning of our country, if the standard is for America to get bad hombres out and people that have been affiliated with them, right? Like I said, the 81-point system, tattoos and a hat, because that's all the shit they sent Kilmar Brega Garcia out. If it's about affiliation and proximity, then why don't they use the same standard for white people? Why don't they hold white Americans to the same fucking standard? They preach this shit. They march on this shit. They come on your app, the MAGA reactions and the Gen X's and the straight talks. They all talk this shit. But the reality is the standard is not the standard for everybody. It's the standard for them. They have the complexion for the protection and they know it and they apply it. And then when someone else has to say something about it, then they're feeling oppressed.
My only solution is to bring up MAGA after you and ask him. I got to move it on, but I'll have to get the answer to that question from someone that supports President Trump. Mike?
Lastly, I'm going to say this lastly because I appreciate you, Tim. I'm going to say this lastly. What we saw with our president today in Greenland was a disgrace on the global stage. When we get we get to the point, see, he went over and thought he was going to punk Europe, and Europe said, hold my beer. That's what the fuck happened.
I agree.
That's what happened because he didn't expect that pushback, right? And so now you're going to work out a deal with Greenland. Well, what deal can you work out when you said you were going to take them? Now it's not about national security anymore.
Yeah, I don't understand why. Whatever deal we allegedly are in with Greenland, yeah, he could have easily. Greenland was our friend. You would have been able to get that without all the threats. Real quick before you go, Zero in the comments says the caller is too emotional. The standards the standards didn't even apply within black communities by our own. He's addressing you, but I don't quite. He says the caller is too emotional. The standards didn't even be applied within black communities by our own. I don't quite get what you're saying there, Zero. I got to move it on, Mike, though.
Because Zero doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about anymore.
Mike.
So bye, Zero.
All right. Thanks for coming through. I said this during the monologue is that Greenland was a definite ally of the United States. I mean, we got a treaty that's been in place since 1951 to have bases on their island. There was no need to make the threat. There was no need to talk about taking over Greenland. They would have given us access to every inch of that island to do whatever we needed to do for defense, for Greenland, for America, for NATO. The example I used earlier in the monologue is as if some really muscular guy that's 2 foot taller than you walked up to you and said, you better tell me what fucking time it is or I'm gonna steal your goddamn watch. Okay, I'm not gonna fight you because you're way too big. But dude, all you had to do was ask me. I would have told you what time it is. You didn't have to threaten to take my watch and shit. You could have just asked for that shit. That's the way I look at it. Greenland would have, all you had to do was ask. There was no need to make the threats and all of that shit. And unfortunately, because we have done that, that's going to hurt our relationship going forward with Greenland. It would leave them wondering, when are they going to come back again and try to do this? Now, what my last caller said is what I also agree with. And thank you for the hat and mustache there, real quick in the comments there. It didn't count. I'll just say this real quick and I'll go to the box. America tried to strong-arm Greenland. That's my humble opinion. Just like with Venezuela, we wanted some shit they have. And we figured we could just take it from them. Debo style for you Friday fans. Just give me your shit. Unlike Venezuela, the European theater via NATO said, look, I'm willing to die for this shit. I might only be 5 foot tall and you 7 feet. You much strong, but fuck it. We just gonna have to fight. Just like sometimes you hear about in prisons and shit like that. If somebody bigger than you, you still gonna have to fight. Because if you just let them take this, they're going to come back and keep doing it over and over again. Today, it'll be Greenland. Tomorrow, it might be Canada. The next day, it might be Australia. And one of the individuals did say, I believe it was the leader of Canada, one of those world leaders stated, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. So Trump never expected NATO to actually stand up in defense of Greenland. Look, it's an out-of-the-way place. Only 56,000 people there. Nobody gives a fuck about it anyway. We'll talk a little bit of shit. They'll back down. He never expected all of that resistance. That's why we have a deal. It's not that there's really a deal there. It's that Trump was told by his close associates, and maybe he wised up himself and realized this is not worth going to war with all of Europe over. Going back to the bots and tap the screen, get us on up to 60,000. Dencal, good evening. Welcome to the program. He never expected that. Dencal, appreciate the hat mustache there, Obama landscape. Dencal, so do you agree with me that Trump was trying to strong arm Greenland for their country?
I wholeheartedly do. We've been saying this from the beginning.
Why do MAGA support that?
Why the hell he talking about sending our troops over there to die for some shit up there where he don't even know the fucking name? Talking about this Iceland. He don't even know what country he talking about.
Yeah, he called it Iceland a few times too. That's a Biden.
More than a few times, motherfucker. You can't go to the meeting and call, the money grass. Like, you can't just do that. Like, it's intelligent people standing there listening to you say some dumb shit.
So so in other words, this is just a strong arm robbery, and NATO stood up to him. You see it that way?
They had to.
Well, they could have.
Canada got up there the other day and said we started a new world fucking order.
Yeah.
We down with China now. Canada said 2 days ago, we don't fuck with America like that no more.
Do we go to war with Canada now?
No. They know we can't go to war with each other because we need shit from them.
We're talking about Trump, didn't count.
We as a country need shit from Canada.
Didn't count. You were thinking logically. We're talking about
what the people that think logically would they'll stay along with me when I'm saying what I'm saying. But
are any of them in Congress?
No, I hear what you're saying, man. Today, the rest of the world shitted on America. They was saying like we don't fuck with America no more. Like we starting our own supply chains. We look, we can't depend on y'all no more. And if it really get bad, we gonna cash out all of our bonds on y'all ass.
Yes, I mean, I cannot. What do you think?
They talking about cashing in like over a $1.2 trillion in bonds on America if we keep acting a fucking donkey.
I mean, listen, MAGA believes we can do this on our own, though. I'm not joking. They really, MAGA, just like President Trump, it's literally fuck the world. We can do all this on our own.
Hey, I just wanted to ask you a quick question, man.
Sure.
What would it take for me to become your biggest investor?
I don't know. I mean, a lion? I don't know. I'd have to figure out how that works.
Lion, dude, like I could do that in my sleep. I'm just saying, like, really be a part of the show.
We'll talk about it off camera. We'll talk because I'm open to stuff like that.
They was acting a donkey until everybody came out and said, like, we not fucking with America like that no more.
Well, and that's the thing. Like I said, I think that the Trump administration assumed that, because Greenland is an out-of-the-way country with only 56,000 inhabitants, that Denmark would just surrender under the threat of, I think he saw NATO probably similar to how he is, where I don't hold allegiance to no fucking body. I'll throw anybody under the bus if it means, and I think that he didn't see NATO as a group of unity. That he could just...
But I'm saying, like, some of the stuff he doing is not even in Project 2025. Like, he just doing some stupid
That's
shit.
money. He making money. I mean, when they're seizing those boats off the coast of Venezuela and they're indicating they've sold a couple of them for $500 million and they're not telling you where the money is. They making money.
Okay. So why did he say anybody who support Greenland, I'm gonna punish your ass? Why would he say that shit to every fucking body?
Classical Trump.
In NATO, which we fucking run. Like, why would you do that? You can get whatever you want in the darkness of NATO, but you say that shit in front of everybody.
I understand it. Like I told Mike, or I told maybe it was even MAGA Reacts. Trump's an old dog. You know, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. Trump is doing what has worked for him as a business person and as a politician. Bullying people has been very, he's been very successful at it. So he threatened to tariff all of them because that's, threatening people has gained him a lot of success in life.
Right. And he's gotten away with it so much. Why wouldn't he do that? Why wouldn't he tell everybody, look, the man came out in front of the whole world and said I could stand on Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody in the fucking face and I wouldn't lose support.
You think that's valid?
No. There's too many people that would not allow.
There's no fucking way I agree with you on that. I think that I've told you, I've said.
I'm trying to be moderate in this shit.
I'm not. I think that, listen, I'm going to tell you something. When it comes to MAGA, Trump knows his supporters very well. When it comes to MAGA, if Trump is saying, I didn't do something, there is no one that can tell MAGA he did and have them believe that person or that. I don't care if it's the FBI, the DOJ, the police, video cameras, video in the shooting. If Trump is saying, I didn't do this, that is AI, that's a liberal witch hunt, that is a FBI gone rogue. When it comes to MAGA, and I've asked many MAGA this question during the January 6th hearings committee, my question is, if Trump committed an actual felony, not saying he did, I'm simply saying if he actually did something wrong, who could tell you and you would actually believe it? I have yet to have any MAGA say anyone. There's no one that can tell him. So
I get it. Look, I get it. I respect his show. I talked to some of the MAGA people offline and stuff. Like, it's hilarious, man. These motherfuckers is crazy.
Well, in the comments, real quick before we continue on, the Celebrity Chase says, I like Trump, but I disagree with him disparaging Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King was a great activist who happened to also be Republican. Makes no sense not to honor MLK. I think it does make sense. What about you, Den Cal?
Man, look, I can't argue with somebody who says some crazy shit like that. I can't.
What this viewer said is not crazy. What this viewer said is not crazy at all.
It's not crazy.
Well, he said he likes Trump. Could be policies or just Trump's boisterous personality. He just disagrees with the way Trump is treating Martin Luther King holiday. How is that crazy?
Because he's treated every holiday in this country since he's been in office.
Oh, you mean
he has said something uninspiring and crazy every single federal holiday since he has been the president. Every single one I can go to and show you where he said, hey, happy holiday, except for the lunatic libs who have tried to process me. And
I didn't think of it like that. You're right. I guess that part went over my head. Yeah, he has said a horrible message. Merry Christmas and all of it. Yeah.
No, not one time. Not like by mistake. Every single holiday, he puts out some crazy shit that MAGA just overlooks. They'd be like, well, let's not even pay attention to that. I'm like, he's the most powerful person in the world. I can't look at what he says and be like, well, he didn't mean that. Oh, he meant that. But he didn't mean that.
Yeah, that went over my head when you first. Yeah, his holiday messages are terrible. I mean, his Christmas. In fact, it started his other Christmas message in Christmas on 2024 was terrible. And then obviously Thanksgiving, he said some crazy shit. Christmas 2025, Juneteenth was deplorable. I mean, yeah. I think he said some shit on Memorial Day. Yeah, his messages are really bad. They all every message.
Every single one is except for the ones he like. You know what I'm saying?
It's like a box of. It's like getting a box of Cracker Jacks. It's like getting a box of Cracker
Even
Jacks.
if it's
You don't know what's in
all
there.
going his way, he got to step in and say some stupid shit every time.
I don't know why he does that. That I don't understand. You know something? Because listen, the guy has look, he got his own trophy wife. He's got infinite wealth. He's the president of the United States. He's gotten everything he could ever. I don't know why he comes across as like a get off my lawn, Gran Torino version of what is the guy? Clint Eastwood. Yeah, like you come across as just hateful. Like you got everything you could ever want. And he just comes across like
hey, listen, like Mel Perkins said, she said they gonna have a UFC fight at the White House in a couple of months.
I gotta.
They done took our prize place in America, and this motherfucker done had a used car lot in front of it with the EV.
He making money though. He
He done
making money.
put EVs in the damn parking lot and had the owner and said, "Look, go buy his car. Go buy his cars because he been treated so badly."
You talking about selling those Teslas? Trump is making a ton of money. He will go down in history by far. I mean, when I say by far, I mean by multiples. He will go down in history as the president that profited the most. I mean, they've already estimated he's made $1 billion just in 1 year. He has 3 more years left. And that shit's going to.
They didn't say he made $1 billion. He made over $7 billion this year. What did you talk? $7 billion. He made more money this year than he made in his whole fucking life.
That I know. Real quick in the comments, a viewer posed this. Says Tim asked the caller if he can say anything good about Trump. So on you.
Hold on, give me a second.
And I see Celebrity Chase says, I agree, Trump doesn't handle the holidays well. Okay. No, he does not. Go ahead.
I'll give you one thing that I really agree to what he did. What he did this year was he put tariffs on all products and stuff coming into this country this year. Like anywhere from 10% to 100%. He put tariffs.
And you favor this?
No.
We want something good. Give me something good he did.
Okay, what I favor is that the majority of those tariffs were paid by the big corporations in this country. That is why everything didn't overspill, because a lot of the big corporations, they paid that 10.
So they ate it. So they ate it without passing it on to the consumer.
They didn't pass it on to the consumer because they said to themselves, if we could just outlast this stupid motherfucker, then we could, you know what I'm saying? Then we could still get money. We could get money. But look.
So he's cost them a bunch of money then.
Yeah, look, when he say all of the money we collected and for the tariffs, all of that stuff, we gonna give some away. We gonna give some to the soldiers and sailors. We gonna give some to the people on welfare. We gonna give them a $2,000 or $5,000 check. We gonna give some money to the farmers because the farmers need money. You know what I'm saying? We gonna give money to the cattle ranchers because you know what I'm saying. I done fucked up their whole shit. You know, so we gonna give some money to them. And then, like, we gonna have so much money left over, and we not gonna touch the fucking budget I just ran up $2.7 trillion in a year. We ain't gonna talk about that.
What about the border? Do you give him credit for securing the border? He said something good. He did an astonishingly good job on the border. Give the man credit. Give it up for him. Give it up for him.
When you say astonishingly, like, what you mean by that?
Ain't nobody fucking crossing that border. Why would you even come here? You may get shot. I mean, it's literally like trying to enter North. In fact, he himself said, we have the most secure border than any country on the earth. And then he said, well, North Korea may. He were with North Korea. He said that.
He said.
Yeah, he said that. That our border is right up there with North. I mean, people get shot going to North Korea.
Did you listen to his speech at Davos? Did you listen to him?
Yeah, I listened to about an hour of it.
That's a whole lot.
Yeah.
You sat there for an hour.
Well, I'm working and I'm physical during the day, but I keep an earphone.
Down listening to the president of the United States, like you wasn't like listening what he was saying on the world stage, understanding everything that's fucking going on in the world. Like you wasn't listening to him. Like what he was gonna say, he said, we got to motherfucking own Greenland or the whole world is gonna explode.
Yeah, I listened to him saying Canada needs to be more grateful. I mean, it was insulting.
Canada said, fuck y'all today or yesterday. Canada said, we entering a new world order and y'all ain't in charge. That's what they said today. They said, we entered into a new agreement with China.
This is when, listen, I'm going to be honest about this. This is when you need a General Milley to talk to folks. I mean, really. Don't be saying that now. Yes, you need.
You've been sounding like you thought General Milley should have came under charges of shit.
Oh shit! No, I said what he did was a crime. It is officially a crime.
There you go. You say what he did. No, not his job. It was a crime.
It is a crime.
You agreed with Donald Trump that General Milley, who sacrificed 40 or 50 fucking years of his life defending this country and saying to a no wannabe dictator, look, I'm about to stop the whole world from having a nuclear holocaust because this asshole is running the country.
I'm just going to say, I didn't say I disagree with what he did, but sometimes, listen, what he did was.
You say, look, he robbed the goddamn corner store because he needed the money to pay for his child.
It's something like that. I mean, look, sometimes throughout history, an individual like, what is his name? Luigi Mangione. Sometimes people sacrifice themselves for the good of everybody else.
Look, I don't know about that. That's like some wild shit.
That was a bad. Wait, hold on a second. I don't support what Luigi Mangione did, but I do feel he took out a genuine bad guy.
Oh shit, that hurt me. We've been trying to.
The guy was. Listen,
you the right thing for all this time. You said a businessman who made a business decision that ultimately led it to.
If you making business decisions for your bottom line that is ultimately causing people to die or not get surgeries they need and make shit so they can't afford it, yeah, you're a bad guy. Yes, you are a bad guy.
Goddamn Donald Trump motherfucking
is a bad guy. Trump is playing the role of a bad guy. I'm not disagreeing with that.
I'm not playing the role like he's actually been being a bad guy. It ain't playing no damn role.
Semantics. But yes, we got a show to run here. But yeah, listen. He's playing a role oftentimes of a bad guy. Yes.
I mean, what did you think his performance was? Like, did you think it resonated with the rest of the world?
Hell fucking no. Look.
Oh, okay. I didn't
No, because just like Saddam Hussein knew that he couldn't take on America, these world leaders cannot let somebody just punk them out like that. Saddam Hussein, he died. Saddam Hussein died standing up to the United States. He knew he couldn't take us on, but I can't just let you punk me out on the world. What Trump is trying to do is punk people out by the dozens. They can't just because otherwise when these folks run for re-election, you may have one of their citizens walk up to one of their prime ministers or your pussy ass can't even talk to America. How the hell you want me to vote for you?
How do you feel sometimes when we thinking about listening to all of this shit about us colonizing other countries and shit, we just gonna take it because it's in our national interest. And now they talking about the Monroe Doctrine, we get to control the whole
Western fucking hemisphere, all of that shit is ours because it's in our best interest. Like, how do you like?
What was it called in America? I think something like manifest destiny. That's what the Monroe Doctrine.
Because you know a lot of your MAGA people have no idea what the fuck manifest destiny is.
God made it. God meant for this shit to be ours. When it came to the United States, they had the belief that.
I know, but I'm saying they didn't know that before you just said it.
Okay, but to me, that's what the Monroe Doctrine sounds like, just on a larger scale. It sounds like manifest destiny. You just looking at the world that way. Like, God meant for this to be our hemisphere. So we're going to just take this shit. Just like they believe that the Lord meant for them to own the new Americas. So we're just going to take this shit. I mean, that's what it sounds like. God meant for me to have this.
God said we should take this shit from their ass. If they don't agree with it, we just going to kill them.
Yeah. Hey, them Christians love you, man. In the comments, Celebrity Chase says, the deporter-in-chief passed the torch to Trump. I voted for both Obama and Trump for the same reason, to keep illegals out of our country. I'm okay. I'll just say this. I'm okay with keeping the border secure and keeping illegals out of our country, but I do believe humanity is something you take into consideration. Even if you go out and commit a major felony, when you go to court, judges ask questions like, did he have any priors? Why did this person do this? They don't treat everybody the same. When it comes to securing the border, we look at people now like, I don't care if you stole a bag of potato chips 30 years ago. You got to go. I don't care if you're leaving a country where they don't admit it. They're going to kill you if you come back. Yeah, you entered illegally. You got to go. I don't like the lack of humanity, the lack of empathy that's in it.
Real nigga. Real shit.
I gotta go, but yeah, I heard you. I heard you.
Saying like real neglect, but like you neglected to say like they still gonna trust him. They don't care.
No, they like this. I mean, I just my take on it.
What you mean they like this?
Well, I'm about to explain my take on it, and MAGA may disagree with this, but my take, MAGA is anti-immigrant because the whole notion was we don't mind immigrants, just come here legally. And Trump has continued to in ways that you used to be able to come here legally, and they're totally okay with that.
Some of your guests are not from America. Like
they don't count. They part of the club now, though. They part of the club now. We love you, Mr. Trump. You know, they part of the club now.
No, I'm saying, like, I'm just going to say, like, some of the people be mad because you be bringing me up, like, sometimes. But, like, I contribute to the program.
You are definitely one of the bigger supporters of the program. We're gonna certainly show love to people who support the program. No matter if I got hands of conservative, I got some right folks too that support. I'm going to definitely bring up folks that support the program, no matter what their politics are. I'm not gonna them the last people I'm going to exclude.
And you do a good fucking job. I give it to you.
Appreciate it. Now I got to drop you. Thank you for coming up, Dean Kell, as always. Absolutely. Thank you for supporting the program anytime. You're coming up anytime. Thank you. All right, moving on with the program, by the way, tap the screen. Show the program some love by getting us up to 90,000. Real quick in the comments, I missed a few. Just a reminder that Trump was never shot. That was faked 100%. Says, why even try? I love the name. Why even try, Brotendo? I don't know about the conspiracies. I get JFK wasn't taken out by that guy. Folks are saying that Charlie Kirk wasn't taken out by Tyler Robinson. And there are plenty of people that believe there's no way in hell you would take an AR round to the ear and heal like that. And I see the comments, Further Great says it's an artificial intelligence ear scratch, AI ear scratch. I don't know. The guy went down, held his ear, there was blood. I don't know. Somebody else lost their life because the assailant fired more than one round. Some firemen actually died at that event. So real projectiles were flying. I don't know. I don't know. But, there are folks who do believe that most controversial shootings are not the way we're told. I mean, people don't believe that Martin Luther King lost his life at the behest of the guy that died in prison for it. Like I said, Kennedy, King, Charlie Kirk now is in that mix, and of course the attempted assassination of Trump. We are losing American rights and protection, says Joe Dirt. I absolutely think you're losing rights to ICE. I absolutely think that ICE right now has the right to do ICE has the right to violate your civil rights with little to no recourse. They can stop you at random, demand ID, detain you for no cause, and nothing's going to happen to them. The only thing that's going to stop you from losing rights to ICE is not to be in their proximity. If they see you and grab you, they can do that. I had a story I read and posted today of a couple on Carnival Cruise Line. ICE came into their room while they were sleeping with flashlights and every damn thing. Took them into custody while they were on a Carnival cruise and detained them for a while. Turns out they just happened to have the same name as somebody else or something like that. No apologies. The woman was naked when they came in the room. I mean, all of that. Didn't apologize to him, anything. Carnival Cruise Line. Should be able to easily find the story. In fact, there's a YouTube video that I found on it from the local news in that town. If I find it, I'll play it because it's only like a 2 or 3 minute video of a news outlet, local ABC or whatever affiliate covering it. But yeah, came in their room on a cruise ship and did that to them. If ICE grabs you, ain't shit you can do about it. So I absolutely believe that right now we're in an era that ICE has the right to violate your civil rights, because Trump wants ICE to operate, and he certainly is not going to hold them accountable in any way, shape, or form. So if they do something to you, you gonna have to kind of grin and bear that until it's over with, and that ain't gonna end until the Trump administration is no longer in power. That's just the way it is.
Anytime, anywhere, and give your legs a break. A Caribbean cruise turns into an absolute nightmare for a Phoenix couple. They were just trying to enjoy a vacation with family and friends when ICE agents suddenly burst into their room.
12 News journalist Jade Cunningham spoke with the couple about the ordeal that they experienced and what they say it should have never happened.
The intimidation was that's what it was about.
For Jose Martinez and wife Tamara Veras, the past 48 hours have been emotional. We weren't treated like you have no rights.
I felt violated.
Jarring, traumatizing.
This is clearly some sort of misunderstanding. And, I was just in shock.
It was the last day of a 9-day Carnival cruise with friends and family.
We were both dead asleep.
When they say ICE agents stormed into their room.
Then we got this pounding at the door. Yeah, burst open. 3 men came in with flashlights in their faces, yelling commands, ordering me out of bed, and put me against the wall and handcuffed me.
They had called a female agent because they realized I wasn't dressed. And so she came in the room and she saw me filming and she jumped on top of me to try and get my phone. And I pushed her off once, and she jumped again and snatched it from my hand.
Martinez, who's a U.S. citizen and Coast Guard veteran, was taken from his wife and put in a holding cell in an unknown location off the boat.
I mean, thankfully it was early, so I don't think a ton of people saw me, but, it was just...
It was still humiliating. I mean, he doesn't have a criminal record. He's never been arrested. He's never had handcuffs on.
Little was shared until finally.
This was all based off of just my first and last name. They said that they thought this was someone who had warrants for drug trafficking.
After almost 2 hours.
They took my fingerprints to help verify my identity, took my photo.
It was realized they had the wrong guy and brought Martinez back to the boat.
No apology, no, we're so sorry for the mistaken identity. No, at one point I remember hearing one of the agents saying that they didn't feel good about the way everything happened, and that they kind of knew beforehand that this was going to be a name mismatch, kind of mistaken identity, but they still proceeded to follow through. Yeah.
Now as they reflect.
I didn't necessarily think I wouldn't see him again, but it was just, I didn't know what he was going through.
They're overcome with emotion.
This is happening to people every day, but it's unfair.
there's no recourse for that. What they went through, obviously, that turned that cruise into probably one of the worst cruises they've ever had. I mean, there's no recourse for that. You can only assume this happening to tons of people. Now, briefly, before we go back to the next caller, you heard one thing she said is that she tried to pull out her phone and film it, and they in one of the ICE agents dived over the bed or whatever to get to her and take that phone from her. That's another civil rights violation that is happening quite commonly among ISIS. They're taking people's phones, smacking them out of their hand. If you're in public, you can film law enforcement. There's no reason now if you're obstructing them, you're all in their face with the phone or you're preventing them from doing their job, then that's a crime. That's obstructing of justice. But they shouldn't walk up to you if you're not involved in what they're doing. If you're only, you're standing in the corner, filming them from across the street or something like that, they're not supposed to walk up to you and start fucking with you. They're doing that. They are actually doing that. And they're knocking phone. There was an off-duty police officer in Minnesota that got pulled over by ICE. And they got aggressive with her, and she pulled out her phone. And the police chief is on TV talking about she pulled her phone out. And they took her phone out of her hand. They're not supposed to take your phones out of your hands. They're not supposed to do that. I don't know if we end up with a society of people wearing body cams or the Ray-Ban glasses that have cameras. I mean, but if you're in an area that is infiltrated with ICE, you probably need to keep some cameras on you. You probably need to keep and some hidden ones on you, because they are taking people's cameras and devices from them. Recommendation would probably be some sort of app that you can quickly turn on your camera without them knowing. I think Cop Watch has an app where you can turn your camera on and the phone doesn't let the person know if they're being filmed, and it sends it to the cloud so that they cannot get on your phone and delete it. Another piece of advice is don't use, and this is one I need to tell myself, but do not use the fingerprint way of accessing your phone. A lot of phones, you can use your thumb or your whatever fingerprint you want to use, and it'll unlock your phone. They could force you to use that to get into your phone. So I would highly recommend not having that. Password or something like that. Best, turn your phone off, resets the phone so they can't use that. But whatever the case may be, they're not letting people freely use their phones, even folks that they're not interested in. If they're doing something across the street that's shady and you're filming it and they see you, they're going to come to you also. Like I said, they're actually violating people's civil rights. This is not just happening to illegal immigrants. This is happening to anybody in the vicinity. Celebrity Chase says, I also don't like that Trump ran on MAGA, Make America Great Again, and now he is executing MAGA, Make Israel Great Again. I don't care about Israel. Well, Trump also told the Iranian protesters that if they hold on, he was talking about making Iran great again. Trump ran on an America First platform. I don't understand why he's all over the place internationally, other than he's trying to profit from it. He promised to focus on America First and turn Biden's upside down America around and make it more favorable to all of us. And since he's become president, most of the stuff he is doing is international. It's not here with us, with the exception of this ICE type stuff. But in terms of the economy and stuff like that, most of the stuff he is doing is international. That's what Marjorie Taylor Greene said was her problem with him, is that he promised to work here. Remember, we were going to stop spending money with the Ukraine and get out of overseas conflicts. How many overseas conflicts has he gotten in? He's bombed 8 countries. So he's doing the exact opposite, which is what Mike and Dan Cal brought up, that even though he's changing his platform, MAGA seems to follow it. That ain't what he campaigned on. In the comments, why even try Rotendo says I saw that. Joe Dirt says we are losing American rights and protections, and we saw that also, and I do agree when it comes to ICE. And last but not least, why even Tribe Rotendo says, Tim, did you ever watch WWF wrestling? Yes, before it is now called WWE. I remember everybody from the Iron Sheik and Macho Man Savage and what was the guy, $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. Yeah, I go back with all that. They would use you're really going far back. He says, did you ever watch WWF wrestling? They would use a razor to cut a very light spot on their head to cause a lot of bleeding with little injury. Trump was a huge fan of WWF, even made appearances. Yes, I know all of that. In fact, I remember that we used to, as kids in the 1980s, you could buy wrestling magazines, just like you could buy magazines with your favorite wrestler. Hulk Hogan would be on the cover, and you could literally see the little razor cuts on their head. You could see the cuts, signs that they were cutting themselves. That was back when we thought wrestling was real. In the beginning, people thought that shit was real. But yeah, I do remember that. And yes, I know Trump actually had a fake match with McMahon, the former CEO or whatever of the WWF. In fact, when he became president the first time, with the whole moniker fake news, and he was attacking CNN, he used a clip of him wrestling McMahon from the WWF, but he took his head and put a CNN logo on it. So it looked like Trump was on the ground beating up CNN. It was controversial at the time. God, did we not know what was going to come, how much more controversial shit was going to come, but he did that. Anyway, looking in the comments here, prices going up and people still talk about how much he's helping. What the fuck? Well, they see the ice and other stuff. Let me go back to the box. They see him helping in other ways. We'll go back to the box. Trump was a great sport then, but he took the worst looking stunner I've ever seen. So was the Secret Service and local law enforcement and hospital staff and dead firemen involved in this WWE stunt. That I don't know. Let's go ahead and continue on, though, with Gen X. Fuck around and find out. Good evening, Gen X. Welcome to the program. He didn't do it. He just retweeted it. Yeah, I don't listen. Hang on a second, Gen X. I don't give anybody credit for using their own personal account to send something out and then say, well, I'm not the original author. Just like with child pornography, even if you're not the original creator, you can be held accountable for possessing it. If Trump takes and retweets racist shit, which he absolutely has done, you don't get credit for saying, well, I didn't create it, it's just a retweet. Once it's in your possession and you're willing to share it with the world, you now have ownership of it. Do you agree, Gen X?
You don't even have an opinion on that.
Really?
I don't have an opinion on it. I do know this. My man pulled up to the podium on a bike today and pulled a Debo, got off, was like, she got him out 40 to the world.
So I'm assuming you think he did a good job on the world stage?
Bro, I was so upset with Trump and the administration this morning by 10 o'clock, and after I saw that, he totally redeemed himself.
Why were you upset?
Bro, I want to see arrests. I'm tired of hearing, well, Pam Bondi is investigating this, and what's his name from fucking CNN?
Don Lemon?
Yeah, Don Lemon. We're looking into KKK thing of charges for him and this and blah, blah, blah. I don't care about that. They fucking went into a house of worship. They violated the law. They violated people's rights. I want to see arrests. I'm tired of the fucking excuses.
Well,
I don't want to hear excuses anymore.
Don Lemon is the black Nick Shirley.
Don Lemon is a fucking idiot.
Listen, Don Lemon got kicked off CNN, so he's trying to make a name for himself as an independent journalist. I mean, by the way, ICE has no problem going into schools and churches to arrest people. Why is it so wrong for Don Lemon to go into one?
Guess what? That's their job.
No, it's not.
That is their job. That's not Don Lemon's job to go into a church, a house of worship, and harass people. Now, guess what?
Wait, Gen X. He is a journalist. It is his job. He's a journalist. That's what journalists do.
No, but a church does not apply. A church does not apply. Just like an abortion clinic does not apply.
Here's why I disagree with you.
Outside, that's fine.
No, here's
you
why I
cannot go into an abortion clinic. You can't do it. It's illegal.
Here's why I disagree with you. An abortion clinic is not a public place. A church is. They take people from the anybody can walk into a church. It's a public place. He walked into a public place and asked questions. He literally, as a journalist, he can do that.
a church is privately owned by the parish.
And they let the public in there all the time.
Of course they let the public in.
That didn't
But they are not a public forum for that kind of bullshit.
If you're letting the public in, a journalist can be part of the public. He's not trespassing until you trespass him. But if you're
it was trespassing.
Okay,
Bro,
then
there were children in there. There were families in there. Are you fucking kidding me?
Come on. I don't get the outrage. If you're okay with watching ICE go into schools and fuck with kids and disturb the whole damn school, I don't see how Don Lemon is taking the cake.
Again, Don Lemon went into a privately chartered area and terrorized people.
Gen X, ICE is going into people's ICE is going Gen X. ICE is going into people's homes without a warrant.
They're allowed to do
No,
that.
they're not.
There's illegals there.
You're not allowed to go into somebody's home without a warrant. And they're not. And by the way, they're not doing it just with illegals. A lot of American citizens are getting caught up in this shit. Like the clip I just played, they went into their room, no warrant, and there was nobody illegal in there.
Went into their room where?
You didn't just see the Carnival Cruise Line I just played?
Dude, it's a fucking floating Waffle House. Are you kidding me?
Gen X, when you're on a Carnival Cruise Line in your cabin, that is now your homestead for the night. Just like if you were in a hotel room. When you're in that room sleeping butt-ass naked, that is your room for the night.
That is not your domicile. That is not your home.
So anybody can come in without a warrant?
No, they have to have probable cause. I'll give you that.
They didn't have it. They walked into somebody's room and there were no illegal immigrants in there. Didn't apologize or anything.
Well, they established that they made a mistake after the fact. And guess what? When you're making an omelet, you've got to break some eggs. You have to.
That's a hell of an analogy. Real quick in the comments, Celebrity Chase says Don Lemon. What does he says? Don Lemon head's gonna get himself in trouble. You know, there is a phrase called good trouble. Listen, Don Lemon, for the amount of money he is making, just like Nick Shirley, whatever trouble he gets himself in, it's worth it. I mean, what Don Lemon did at the very worst is trespassing. What is the fine for trespassing in the church? $1,000? Think about how much money he made on social media and on television for doing that. It's worth it.
Here's the difference. Don Lemon doesn't want to be trespassed or fined. He wants to go to prison. He wants to be around Bubba. He's a fucking ass pirate. There's nothing he'd like more to be around a bunch of soaked up greasy men in a big shower.
Gen X, he's married. He's a married man.
To another dude.
Okay, that don't mean he wants every dude.
He's an ass pirate.
Okay, but he's married to someone. He has his own marriage guy. If he's an ass pirate, he's married. He has his own personal ass pirate. That don't mean he wants everybody.
He's yo-ho-ho in a bottle of rum, man. Fuck Don Lemon.
Do you have Don Lemon derangement syndrome?
I have fucking DLDS, yeah. DLDS.
So, do we need NATO? That's what the topic is actually about. Do we actually need NATO? Are they irrelevant, as Trump says?
Absolutely not. We don't need fucking NATO. They need us.
So why did we invoke Article 5 after September 11th? Within 24 hours of Al-Qaeda striking the World Trade Center, we asked NATO for help within 24 hours. If we don't need NATO, why did we do that?
Did the USA invoke Article 5 after 9/11?
Yes, and we're the only country that's ever done it.
Yep, they did. Yeah, it says right here.
Right. You didn't. So the question I'm asking is, if we don't need NATO, then why did that happen?
We didn't need them.
So we did it.
They might have invoked it, but we didn't. We don't need NATO. NATO needs us. Who pays for most of NATO's budget? We do.
Actually, Actually, it's because America, unlike most NATO member nations, is constantly at war. Canada don't need to spend the same money on defense as NATO does because we're not always around bombing people and getting in trouble. We don't have boats. They don't have boats in the Persian Gulf and shit. America needs to spend more money on defense than all the other NATO member
Let me
nations.
ask you this, Tim. How many of our military actions has NATO been a part of? Afghanistan, the Gulf War,
The big ones. The
Operation
big
Iraqi
ones.
Freedom.
Yeah, the big ones.
What other ones?
Well, the Afghan and Iraq war alone, that's representing 20 plus fucking years. Just those two alone is 20.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
That's a lot. That's a lot considering we're claiming that we don't need them, that we kept them at war for 20 years. Countries we don't need fought on our behalf for 20 years.
The bottom line is we don't need NATO. NATO needs us. Do you know who the first country was after 9/11 to offer us help and we declined? One of the first countries. I don't know if it was the first. It was one of the first countries to come to our aid and offer us fucking help. Before NATO.
Who would that be?
Russia.
Well, yeah. Let me just say it let me tell you why I vehemently disagree with your comment that we don't need NATO. If NATO said, well, since you don't need us, every one of our countries that you have military personnel in or a base in, we want you to leave. We would be at a severe disadvantage because those are a lot of forward bases that put us closer to our enemies so that if something happens, we already have equipment there. If NATO made us leave and they stopped providing intelligence and surveillance, America would be significantly weaker worldwide.
I don't agree with that either.
You think we can do it all from the United States, huh?
Yeah, let's put it this way. If you live in a hood, okay, and you've got the whole room of AKs and firepower and this and that, and you got a bunch of homies from the east side that are looking to back your play, and you're gonna rock and roll with the south side, but you don't arm the east side, how fucking handy are they to you? They're not. They are riding on your coattail. You are making them powerful.
I disagree.
Not them.
I disagree because you're making it sound like them being armed is the only thing that can make them valuable. They could be snitches, they could be informants, they could be giving you intelligence, they could be doing all kinds of fucking destruction missions behind us. There's a lot of things they could be doing on the south side that don't require guns that is very beneficial to you.
Mike's in here saying he can't even make a valid point. Mike, you can't even have a debate with somebody who's not pissed drunk.
Oh my God.
I've seen him. I've watched him. I fucking watched this guy. He's a fucking loser.
Okay, I don't know about the piss drunk comment, but in regards to what you and I are talking about, the point I'm making.
That's fair. I'm not going to run my mouth on Mike because he's not here to fucking protect himself, and that's not fair. My apologies.
But in regards to what you just said about arming the south side, and if one side of town did not have firearms, during World War II, a lot of countries used women that were unarmed, that were able to act as spies and things like that. You don't necessarily need all of your allies to have weapons to be of value. Intelligence, spying, snitches, informants, all of that stuff has value too.
I think that was a mistake too.
What do you
use
mean?
Women in that capacity. I think they would have got a lot more out of it if they'd had the women bringing sandwiches.
What is up with you and women in sandwiches? Do you believe women should be able to work?
Yeah, they could do daycare or nursing. I don't want some fucking male nurse. I think there's a role for them in society, in the workplace.
Explain. So, because I want to make sure hold on, just to make sure folks get clarity, because we haven't discussed it for a while, but you do believe women should not be allowed to vote, correct?
Nope.
Why not?
Too emotional.
Too emotional.
Because they're too emotional.
You don't see Trump as emotional?
emotional as a woman. Men can be emotional, but we still, at the end of the day, when we're emotional, we sit back and say, okay, this is what my emotions say. This is what my facts say. I'm going to go with the facts. Women say, oh, my emotions say this. Let's go ahead and go with that. Oh my God, it makes me feel better.
I don't know. So women shouldn't be the vote due to emotions. Career fields, a woman doctor. You favorite women being able to be physicians?
No.
Scientists.
Scientists, I would say yes. I would lean towards yes on a very small percentile of the female population. Yes.
In honor of Charlie Kirk, what about a pilot?
It depends. A white woman or a black woman?
My God.
A white woman, yes. A black woman, no.
Why not?
Well, because white women are smarter than black women.
Based on what evidence?
Based on fucking knowing white women and knowing black women. You can sit there and
you know them all?
That's kind of not fair because all women are snap caps. All women are snap caps, so that's probably not fair.
I'm about to say you know them all? Okay, so white women can be pilots, but black women cannot. Police officers.
No, absolutely not.
Firefighters.
Absolutely, positively not, and I'll tell you why. If you're in the 20th floor of a burning building and your big old black ass breaks a leg and they got to bring you down a ladder, okay, do you want a man that's 5'11", 6'1", 220 pounds dragging you down a ladder so you live, or do you want some woman who's 5'2" that passed it because they lowered the standards for the test?
What about other duties? Could she not have the hose aiming the hose at the building? Does she have to be the one going in? I mean, there's other duties for her to be a firefighter, right? She could drive the truck. There's a ton of things she could do.
Yeah, she can fucking stay at the bottom and give sandwiches to everybody when they get the hell out the burning building.
Do you believe in a hierarchy of men above women?
Yes, sir.
Where did you get? Is this something you grew up and was taught? Where did you develop this?
No, this is something I grew up in and realized after the age of probably 23, 25. Women and men are built differently. It's simple genetics.
Physically, they are. I mean, obviously, men are physically stronger and bigger than women, but brain power, many would suggest women are often smarter than men. They certainly are getting college educations at a higher rate than men are. Let me ask you this, Tim. If you're on the 30th floor, again, of a burning building, your leg is broken, and a little 130-pound skinny chick hops through the window, and a fucking 6'3" kind of muscular dude hops through the window, and they tell you, hey, one of us is going to carry you down that ladder to safety. Who are you choosing? Now, you raise an interesting point. Obviously, I'm going to pick the 6'3" guy. But here, based on, if you're going by physics, based on what you are suggesting, Gen X, then you would disqualify smaller men from the fire department as well. I mean, because a 5'5" guy ain't going to drag me out of there either. You know, and I've actually thought about that, and somebody else I was having this debate with brought that up to me. If you have two human beings, one woman that's 5'7" and one man that's 5'7", both have the same weight, the man still has a more solid. He's not dragging me out of it. I get that he's going to be stronger than a woman. He's stronger, but he's not. He's not be able to drag out of there safely. But guess what? He's got a better chance than the woman does. Yeah, but Serena Williams or Queen Latifah has a better chance than both of them two. So why is she disqualified?
Queen Latifah can throw me over her shoulder. I'll be pinching her ass all the way down the ladder.
So then you would be okay with bigger, stronger women being firefighters.
No, I don't think we can lower that standard. I think it has to be a standard set across the board with no exceptions.
What if the woman can demonstrate she's capable of doing the job physically? Would you at least give her the job if she could demonstrate she could carry the hole, she could throw a 6-foot man over her back or drag him out? Would you then give her the job?
If the woman can pass the physical the physical attributes of the man, or not the physical attributes, that's the
of the job. If she can do the job.
If she can do the same shit physically that a man can do, same height, same weight, then yes.
Okay.
That is very rare, though. You're talking, there wouldn't be a lot of women that can do that. But if they could, then I would be okay with an exception.
Well, that may apply when it comes to dragging somebody out of a burning building, but you just said women shouldn't be able to be a physician, and they absolutely can do that job. And you denied them being doctors. Why is that?
Because they're too bossy. Because they operate on feelings. We don't want you to take this. We want you to do that. We want you to quit smoking. But motherfucker, I don't want to quit smoking. A male doctor will be like, all right, we'll cut it down. A woman is like, no, you got to quit or you don't have a future. Yeah, no, they're too bossy. Fuck them.
So you don't want a doctor that gives you solid medical advice. You want them to let you be you and do whatever the hell you want.
I don't want a doctor that pushes me to do something I don't want to do.
Even if it's in the best interest of your health.
Absolutely, it's my decision.
Then you don't want a doctor to be a doctor, basically.
No, I absolutely want him to be a doctor.
And I see the comments. Richie says you're watching firefighter porn. I've never heard of that. Real quick in the comments, Big Bo C.
There's such a thing as firefighter porn. Please DM me because I'd love to see that.
I'm sure firefighters make calendars all the time, and many of the strippers dress up as firefighters, so I'm sure there is. Big Bo C.
Let me tell you.
Hold on, hang on. Big Bo C says, Tim, I bet you $100 that Gen X lives in a trailer. Is that your residence, Gen X? Somebody's saying you live in a trailer park.
No.
Okay. Have you ever lived in a trailer park?
I own 3 of them. I own 3 of them in several parts of the state, but that's not where I live. No.
Okay, fair enough. What were you about to ask me?
Fuck, now you made me forget, dude.
You never disappoint. So if a black woman demonstrates she's capable of doing the job and flying a commercial airliner, can she be a pilot?
No, because they'll fucking argue with you about everything, dude.
What? When the last time have you flown and got into an argument with the damn pilot?
I dated one black woman in my life, and let me tell you something. An Italian man and a black woman do not fucking mix. That's like fucking suicide. That bitch wanted to stab me after an hour.
And you don't understand why is the killer. The way you're talking, making sandwiches and shit. I could see that. I mean, but you don't. So
have you not seen the way they behave in even Walmart? If somebody steps in front of a white woman, she'll stick up for herself, but her voice stays kind of legit. If you do that to a black, excuse me, I'm standing here. I don't want to hear y'all do no more. They sound like fucking gangster grandma at Walmart.
Oh my God. I take it you've never dealt with a Karen, because there's plenty of white women that will raise their voice up. Some of them will even put their hands on you. There's an African-American guy on TikTok. I forgot he's a military guy, and he actually had to hit a white woman. He was walking on the streets of Virginia with a sign that says, "Fuck Trump." And this white woman got out of her car and walked up to him and literally put her hands on him, and he knocked her to the ground. I mean, he actually hit her. Well, somebody in the comments, if you've seen the video, it was pretty popular. Somebody let me know who the guy's name is, but yeah,
I saw it.
Yeah, oh, so you've seen it. So yeah, I mean, so Urban Gang, Union Gang, yeah. So
Mark,
let me say,
for national and international.
Say that again.
me say that fucking that MAGA woman had it coming.
Okay. All right.
She had it coming.
Okay, we finally agree on
You
something.
can't put your hands on people.
We finally agree
If
on
you
something.
put your hands on people and you get dealt with, then that's on you.
What about climbing through a window trying to break in their house?
No, I don't. I wouldn't shoot somebody climbing through my window unless I knew they were armed.
You found a way out of it. You knew where I was headed with that shit. I don't believe you, but you knew where I was headed.
All day, brother. I know you too well.
I gotta go. Shout out to the late Ashley Babbitt. I gotta go, Gen X. Thanks for coming through.
All right, brother. Have a good
All right, fair enough. Next time you get on an airline, hopefully LaQuisha's in the co-pilot seat. Anyway, looking in the comments, he lives in Montana. Somebody's putting his state up there. Yeah, he did know what to say. Creep Bets, he knew what to say. He knew where I was going with that. Definitely kisses a framed photo of Trump every night next to his waterbed. Oh, waterbed, god damn. Who has a, do they still make those? Do they still make waterbeds? That's some 1970s shit. Motherfuckers weigh like 1,000 pounds. You can't even have one upstairs because it might fall through the floor. Do they still make waterbeds? Anyway, he has a roommate at this age, says Kareem the Dream. Anyhow, folks, it's been a hell of a ride with you guys tonight. You know we don't block, ban, or censor, so if you're watching us on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook, give us a follow. You're watching us on YouTube, certainly subscribe to the program. We're here most weeknights, generally a bit earlier. I got on a little bit late. If you have a hose in a bed, you got a water bed. Huh? If you have a hose in a bed. I've slept on water beds, but it's been in the 90s. Like, man, I ain't even seen a water bed in a very long time. Water bed, wow. Yeah, do they still make them? I got one of them Sleep Numbers, which is really nice. In fact, the Sleep Number bed has an air mattress surrounded by a regular mattress. So I like it because they don't end up sinking and shit. But I never had a water bed. Never had that. Somebody says, yeah, Will Strout, you said, yeah, they do make water beds still. They probably almost kind of like a specialty item where there's only a few places you can get them. I can't imagine there being a bunch of those out there anymore. Like I said, I haven't seen one of those in 30 years or more. Somebody with a water bed. Anyhow, appreciate you guys tuning in. It is your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. I got to get up in the morning and go to work just like the rest of you folks do. I always appreciate you tuning in for uncensored programming where we respect all political opinions. You're always welcome back. Our opinions go left to Bernie Sanders too. I'm having dinner with Q, but I do got to step away. So thank you folks for tuning in. I will see you tomorrow. Take care. And the same on YouTube. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. I don't know. That's the TikTok giving me some sort of thank you, but I got to go.